You are listening to the audio novel, The Dragon King, sponsored by Tale Treasury. Chapter 1, The Dam Bursts. I'm Aurora. I am the youngest child of Chansey and Allison Griffin, Beta family of the Sacred Moon Pack, in the state of Montana. My brother, Caleb, is returning from Alpha training today. Alpha Anderson Kane and my brother left nearly 2 years ago to learn to be the best leaders we could have. My twin sister, Amelia, has been on pins and needles all day. She will become Anderson's chosen Luna at the Ascension ceremony tonight. I, on the other hand, have chosen to become an attorney for the pack. Now that shifters have been acknowledged by the human world, we find ourselves embroiled in many conflict resolutions. I want to be a part of that. We are constantly appearing in human courts and are in need of legal representation. The Council of Shifters accepted 20 applicants from various shifter species, and I scored in the highest percentile, meaning my education will be provided for. My preference for my specialty is to represent the monarchies, especially the dragons. They are among the few shifters who have had to remain hidden. I want to help them adjust, to interact with the other species. All day, my parents and I have been preparing for the ceremonies tonight. Decorating, dealing with caterers, setting up the vendors. I just finished speaking with the photographer and videographer to show them where they need to be. Amelia's voice sounded in my head. Even her mind link is nasally and reminiscent of nails on a chalkboard. Where is my dress? I told you to get it steamed and returned to me. I only have an hour to get ready. First off, I dropped your dress off. As a courtesy, anything more than that is on you. If you aren't ready on time, that is not my fault. I am your Luna. You will do as I say. Bring me my dress. Again. First off, you are not my Luna. Secondly, I am not your housemaiden, Your Highness. Get your own damned dress. Mom, make Aurora bring my dress to me. My mother calls out, Aurora, take your sister's dress to her. She needs to get ready. I came in from the patio, looking at Mom, and said no, then turned back and finished what I was doing. My mother snaps. Why must you always be difficult? Your sister needs your help. It would take 2 minutes. I grunted. And why must you always cater to her every whim? She is 18, not an invalid. If it only takes 2 minutes, she should be quite capable of fetching the dress herself. I honestly feel like a servant where she's concerned. My father snaps at me to apologize to my mother and take the dress to Amelia. Rolling my eyes, I refuse to apologize. But I do retrieve the dress. There is only so much disobedience this family allows me. Walking into Amelia's room, I hang the dress on her closet door, just as she walks out of the bathroom. Good, you're here. I see telling Daddy has you doing as you're told. Now, I need you to do my hair. Or do I have to get Daddy's attention again? I smirk. I once believed you would outgrow your mean girl mentality. hoped for it, actually. That you could possibly learn to be a decent human being. But nope. Even your wolf is rotten to the core. She screeched. You have always been so jealous of me. Why? Because I'm prettier? Popular? Older? What, Rory? What is it? I doubled over in laughter, gripping her shoulders. I spun her to face the mirror. Prettier? We are identical twins, you half-wit. Popular? My friends aren't followers. They don't fear me. Older? By a minute and 37 seconds? And jealous? Of what, Leah? Mom barged into the room. Aurora rose. Stop irritating your sister this instant. She asks for very little from you. The least you can do is be supportive on her big day. I do not know. Whatever has gotten into you. Now, fix her hair, as she's asked, while I do her makeup. I grinned. You are so right, Mommy dearest. She doesn't ask ever, actually. She demands. And I irritate her? That's rich. Goddess forbid I ever ruffle the feathers of the family's golden bird. Her big day consists of stealing a title that isn't rightfully hers, depriving not one, but two beings of the other half of their souls. The goddess doctrine dictates we never violate her edicts, yet this entire pack is fine with falling out of favor with her by doing just that. Forgive me for not condoning that behavior. I entered my own room nearly an hour later, running behind, because I had only just finished with my sister. I jumped into a quick shower, getting my own gown on. I quickly braided 2 thin strands of my silver hair, pulling them back, and fastening them with a jeweled barrette. I slapped a little makeup on my face and had just exited my room. From the low, I hear my brother yell, "Where is my favorite sister? I want to see her smiling face." Amelia tittered. "I'm right here, silly." Caleb replied, "I know you're here, Amelia. I meant Rory, and you know it." My whole face lit up in a huge grin as I raced for the stairs, only to falter when my mother's voice snidely remarks, "You know your youngest sister, always dawdling." I frown. No matter how hard I try, I will always just be the extra. The kid no one expected. Yet, here I am. I skip down the stairs, eager to hug my brother, the only one who's ever got me. My hero, I yell, "Caleb," and leap the last 5 steps into his arms. He catches me and spins me around. I have missed this face little bit. Let me look at you. He stands me on my feet, twirls me, and whistles low. You are an absolute beauty, Rory. I smile, kissing his cheek. He turns me around so I can greet Anderson. Our eyes meet, and Isla mutters, "Mate," in my brain. No, no. He turns and grabs Amelia's hand, walking away. I pull into Caleb's arms, and the Dan bursts. Chapter 2. My opinions matter. Caleb whispers, "What just happened, baby girl?" I shake my head violently, and he leads me outside to the backside of the garden. "Talk to me, Aurora." I dry my tears and try to smile. My mate will be pledging himself to my sister in a couple hours. How's that for irony? I was just preaching about true mates to her, never realizing the other half of a body's soul she was stealing would be mine. He dried my cheeks and told me, "Anderson is an honorable man, sister. He will do the right thing. I'm sure he's explaining everything to Amelia right now. She will understand." Everything will be okay. I shake my head, chuckling softly. Bet. $50 says I am rejected within the hour. He groans. You and your betting. I will take that bet. I know my best friend. Easiest $50 I've ever made. I laugh at him. We walk back inside. Our father is waiting for us. Alpha wants us in his office. This is a mess. Why can't anything be easy with you, Aurora? I roll my eyes and link to Caleb. Still think you're winning the bet? Caleb asks. How exactly is this Rory's fault, Dad? The goddess chooses mates. Amelia is the one who overstepped. My father snaps. This isn't Caleb's decision. We follow the Alpha. We enter the office. There they sit. The Alpha, the Luna, my mother, and Anderson, with Amelia in his lap, consoling her tears. Isla whines deep within. My heart aches. I comfort her. We are stronger than this, bigger than the pain. I sit beside Caleb. He takes my hand. My father drops into the seat beside my mother. Alpha John speaks. Well, this is an unfortunate turn of events. Aurora, I'm sure you understand the significance of this. As the second-born daughter of a beta, it's only logical the first daughter be the mate of the Alpha. Anderson and Amelia love each other. They've been together for several years. This wrinkle cannot be allowed to throw a monkey wrench into their plans. Caleb squeezes my hand. I start to shake. I ask, my voice cracking, so I'm once again, what? Expected to just step aside? Take a backseat to the whatever Amelia wants, Amelia gets dog and pony show? Caleb squeezes my hand harder. He knows I'm about to say something I can't take back. Amelia screeches. You've always wanted what I have, Aurora. All our lives. You've made everything about you. I burst out laughing, bitter, raw. Are you serious? Is she serious? I have never wanted what you have. Nothing in our lives has ever been about me. Birthdays? Not once were they ever what I wanted. I hate pink. Boy bands are for cheerleaders. Rainbow confetti cakes are disgusting. Have I ever complained? The only person in this entire pack who ever gave a damn about me is my brother. I learned a long time ago I was just the extra kid, not the bonus, not the youngest. I was the throwaway, the nobody one fucking needed or wanted. So if I was called in here to be rejected by a coward, then let's do this. Anderson coughs and stutters. I'm not rejecting you. Axel would weaken, but I love Amelia. I need you both. Caleb growls. What the fuck, dude? No, that's not how this works. You don't get to do this to my baby sister. Dad snarls. Stand down, Caleb. This does not concern you. This is between Anderson and the girls. Caleb growls back. You're okay with this bullshit? You're okay with the Alpha fucking one daughter, while causing excruciating pain to the other? What kind of parent are you? My goddess, I have never been so ashamed to be a member of this family than I am at this moment. Alpha John roared, Enough! This is Anderson's decision. He will mate and Mike Amelia at the ceremony tonight, and Aurora will do her duty to the pack. I gasped, and Caleb was already shaking his head, ready to speak, but I stood and said, I will not. Anderson, by accepting Amelia as your chosen, you are rejecting Isla and me. Therefore, I, Aurora Rose Heartsong Griffin, reject you, Alpha Anderson Robert Kane of Sacred Moon, as my mate, now and forever. Anderson grabbed his chest and fell to his knees, moaning, No. My mother slapped me, screaming, You ungrateful child! Everything has to be your way, all the time. even though the ache in my chest was stealing my breath. I said, "Never lay hands on me again. I follow the goddess's doctrine, and by this pack not doing so, I pray you do not bring her wrath down upon your heads." As I turned to go, Alpha John said, "You are hereby banished from Sacred Moon." I immediately went to my room and started packing. I'd simply head to the university campus 2 weeks early. I kept telling Isla how sorry I was, but she assured me it was our only option. She was whining, but whispered, "We will be fine. We are strong, and the goddess is on our side. We are adhering to her teachings. We will not be the ones with regrets." I smiled. Okay, I wasn't a cheerleader, but Isla is. I went through everything I wanted to take and took nothing that would remind me of the betrayal of my parents. My birth certificate will remain. I am legally changing my name to my grandmother's maiden name. My mother's mother was Gabriella Heartsong of the Alaskan Heartsong Pack. She was the only person besides Caleb who knew my struggles and knew my pain. From now on, I will put myself first, and I will become the person I was meant to be. My opinions matter. Chapter 3. I need to think. I watched my baby sister walk out the door with a heavy heart. I looked at everyone in that room, individually. Then I asked, is this what we've become as a pack? Have we forsaken true mates for what we believe is a superior choice? Because if that's the case, I find myself reevaluating everything I'd ever known us to be. My father snapped. "Caleb, you know Aurora is not Luna material. Amelia has been groomed for 3 years to take her place at Anderson's side. She is the perfect Luna." I scoffed. I know no such thing. What I do know is that Aurora is a woman of intelligence, integrity, strength, a loving, giving woman who is bent over backwards to be the daughter she is. She has struggled her entire life just to be seen by her parents as their child, as someone of value to this pack. But no, what I see is a family hell-bent on keeping her in the shadow of her twin. A vapid, shallow, self-entitled who bullied her, put her down, and mocked her. Her entire existence, all while being encouraged to do so by the very people who created Aurora, Amelia screamed. She wanted to take Anderson away from me. She wanted to steal my happiness, to make me suffer. You're my brother. You're supposed to be on my side. But instead, you think it's fine for her to steal my mate? I look at her, my eyes wide, and ask, "Do you even hear the bullshit coming out of your mouth, you spoiled little bitch? She can't steal your mate. You don't have one. You stole hers. The ego you have is astronomical. I am your brother, but I'm Aurora's brother too. Every single one of you has forgotten that, just like you forgot she's your sister, and you both forgot she was your daughter. She's right. She has always been the throwaway, and I am so ashamed of everyone in this room." Anderson speaks for the first time. "So where does that leave us, Caleb? You're my best friend, as close as a brother to me, all our lives. I didn't know Aurora would turn out to be my mate. There was no way I could choose. My wolf wants his mate, but I want Amelia. I shouldn't have to choose." Shaking my head, I say, "There shouldn't have been a choice, Anderson. You should have told Amelia you were going to accept your mate. Amelia should have understood. My parents should have shared a happy and proud moment with their youngest child. Our Alpha and Luna should have encouraged you to be with your goddess-given gift. Those are the only shoulds that should have happened. Instead, we have a chosen mating that sees my baby sister banished, and not a one of you seems concerned with how low we've fallen as a pack. What about you, Luna Bridget? You haven't weighed in at all. I was actually convinced you cared about Aurora. Seems I was wrong about that too." Alpha John warned, "Watch how you speak, boy. I will not be disrespected." I scoffed. "Or what? You'll banish me too?" Anderson yelled. "No, enough of this." Luna Bridget finally spoke. "Caleb, I care deeply for Aurora. I would have been so very proud to see her become Luna of this pack. It is her birthright, and she would be a hell of a Luna. Oh, the changes she would have wrought. But in this, as in all things, I must bow to the demands of my Alpha. Alpha John snapped. Then why didn't you speak up? Here you sit extolling all Aurora's virtues, while you stayed silent when she was here. She sneered. I was told to keep my mouth shut. Do you not remember? He, at least, had the decency to look chagrined. I spoke quietly. I don't even know how to deal with this. Every instinct in me screams to follow my sister out of this pack. But my sense of duty, it holds me in indecision. One thing I do know, I am so very ashamed of my family. What should have been a happy occasion, my homecoming, my ascension to Beta, now pales in comparison to the grief I feel. No matter what happens next, I lose something precious. I'm disgusted, and, as I said, ashamed. I'm going to spend time with my sister. You people, do what you want. And I walked out. I found Aurora in her room, burning photographs, only keeping the ones with me in them, tears rolling down her cheeks. I lifted her and sat down on the chair. Holding her in my lap, my heart broke even further as her sobs rang out through the room. I said, I'm not bothering to unpack my suitcases. I am going with you, wherever you go. Her throat caught on a sob. No, Caleb, absolutely not. You are a strong man, an alpha-born Beta. This pack is going to need you, desperately. Anderson is a weak alpha. Your strength supersedes his own. You are even stronger than Dad. Without you, Sacred Moon will fall. I know it, and you know it. I shrugged. I don't want to be here without you. It won't feel the same. It won't be my home. Again, she shakes her head. I said no. They need you. I will be okay. I emailed the council. They've already responded. I told them everything. Full disclosure. They've granted me lone wolf status, and I'll only be 45 minutes away at university for the next 2 years. We'll FaceTime and text, and you can come see me every weekend if you want. You are the only family I have, Caleb. I need to know you are following your dreams. My little sister, everyone always comes before her. I replied, will you watch my ceremony? She again shakes her head. I won't be allowed, Bubba. I'm no longer part of this pack. The Alpha saw to that. I have no bond. I'll watch from the window, though, I promise. As I stood to leave, Mom and Dad walked in. Bastian growled deep in my chest. I stood protectively in front of my sister. Dad said, stand down, boy. We've only come to say our goodbyes. Aurora laughed. Don't bother. You have never thought of me as your daughter. Saying goodbye is an empty gesture. Mom snapped, you have always been such an ungrateful child. And Aurora laughed again. I asked, what does she have to be grateful for, Mother? When has she ever been treated like anything more than a hired hand? Go, be with your golden child. I should say, your only child. Because I have disowned you to wallow in your shame. Just as you have treated my sister, so shall I treat you. I shoved past them to attend a ceremony that now held little meaning for me. As I stood to say the oath of the office I would try to uphold, I listened to my baby sister's screams of agony. Screams that broke something sacred in me. The moment Amelia was marked. I looked out at the pack, my eyes sharp with disgust, and I said, those agonizing screams, that is the pain of a true mate, feeling her mate mark an unworthy chosen. I shifted into Bastian, fur ripping through skin, fury and sorrow surging in my blood, and I ran. I needed to think, to breathe, to survive what they've done. Chapter 4. Make It Right.
Caleb's point of view.
I walk across the stage to receive my diploma, reciting my speech in my head. I graduated. Dean's List, top of my class. As such, valedictorian is mine by right. I am proud of myself. I have achieved a myriad of accolades and accomplishments in my 24 months here. After I delivered my speech, I rushed out to find Caleb. Finding him in the group of my friends, I ran. He caught me and swung me around, kissing me all over my face. I laughed as he told me, "I am so proud of you. You are going to do such great things." We headed out to have dinner at an exclusive restaurant in town, one over from Sacred Moon, as Caleb had to return tonight. Walking in, he gave his name and we were seated. We ordered drinks, and he asked, "Have you kept up with your training?" I grinned and nodded. "Of course. I bet I could give you a run for your money now." He chuckled and muttered something about always betting. The server takes our dinner order and I ask, "How have things been?" Even though I am not Pack, I still worry about them. With the exception of the few, the people mean a lot to me. He smiles. "I know they do. Not a day goes by that someone doesn't ask about you." Luna Bridget asks every day, but she does so covertly. The Pack is going to hell. You were right when you said Anderson would be a weak alpha. It's like following behind a 2-year-old, constantly cleaning up his messes. He spends a fortune in Pack funds keeping Amelia in the style she is accustomed to. Delusions of grandeur. You called it. It's just a matter of time. But tell me, which offer did you accept? I smile, very proud of all the Packs and different species seeking my counsel. One in particular caught my eye, and after deliberating a good month or so, I decided to accept and am pleased with myself. I tell him I accepted the Draconian Pack. In Alaska. It's only 20 miles from Grandma's old pack, Heartsong. I am so excited. They paid me a $400,000 retainer for the next 2 years. There is a lot of cases pending in regards to land rights, mineral rights, natural gas, as well as oil. I'm going to be a busy little puppy for a while. Gotta earn my keep. He laughed. Holy shit. When will I ever get to see you? I refuse to go more than 6 months without my hugs and cuddles. I smiled, taking his hand. I said, I will be down in the lower 48, frequently I believe. A lot of these hearings will be held at council headquarters. We can get together then, yeah? He nodded vigorously. I can live with that. I dare tell you how very proud I am of you, Rory. You have overcome so much. Against the odds, you have healed and moved forward. I know it wasn't easy. I admire your strength. I grinned and said, You don't know how strong you can be until being strong is all you have left. I worry about Axel, Caleb. Tell him I am sorry, that he needs to be strong too. He shakes his head. My little sister, always caring, always worried about everyone else. I love you, Peanut. You know that, right? I smiled and said, Not everyone, Bubba. You, the pack, and Axel. Everyone else can kiss my ass if they can catch it flying by. He laughed and hugged me. We said our goodbyes, and he left to go home. I drove away in search of my new tomorrow.
I arrived home to chaos. I walked in and Amelia screamed, Where have you been? What kind of beta deserts his pack when you knew Alpha Draco is due to arrive in the morning? I shrugged. My sister graduated today, and there was no way I would miss that. For your information, everything is ready for the Alpha's visit. It's your job as Luna to make all the arrangements, as you are well aware. But nope, you like to play princess and dress up in your slutty dresses, taking all the credit, as usual. You should thank the goddess for the talented and accomplished staff in the pack house, but I seriously doubt she'd listen to you. I walked into Anderson's office to find him brooding, once again. I poured a glass of bourbon and sat across from him. I waited for him to speak. When he did, he asked where I had gone. I sighed and pinched the bridge of my nose. Anderson, for 2 weeks! 2 weeks! You have known my sister was graduating summa cum laude from university today. She was valedictorian, and no fucking way was I missing her speech or her big day. He sneered. Yeah. Well, you have another sister who is falling apart, trying to get everything done for the Alpha's visit tomorrow. She needed her big brother's help. I laughed. First of all, I only have one sister. Secondly, I don't know what bullshit smokescreen Amelia's throwing up for you. But absolutely everything for Alpha Draco's visit has been done for 3 days. Anderson, your maid is utterly useless when it comes to arranging any event for this pack. It always falls to me, the staff, or your mother. 2 fucking years, Anderson, and she's still utterly useless. But you can't see past your own dick to realize that. He tried snarling at me, but it came out as a whine. Your family needs you to be present, Caleb. Amelia needs to know you care. You have to get over Aurora. She isn't even a member of this pack anymore. Her life is not your business. I actually did snarl. My sister is a successful attorney, working for the Draconian Pack, and she is well aware of how much I love her. I disowned Amelia and her parents when they decided my sister didn't matter. I'm only beta because Aurora made me promise to be here for Axel. Not you, not your wolf. You don't get it. You don't have a clue how destroyed she was. You didn't even care that she was in such agony, such excruciating pain her last night in this pack. That Isla nearly clawed her to death to stop the pain. So don't give me that poor Amelia bullshit when the pair of you nearly killed my sister. He mutters, I didn't know. I thought since she rejected me, she wouldn't feel it. I swear, Caleb, I didn't know. I scoffed. Again? Bullshit. You didn't accept the rejection until the next day? You did it deliberately, maliciously. You fucking knew, Anderson. Even you are not that ignorant. I stormed out and went to the study. Pouring another bourbon, I sat down and texted Aurora to make sure she had stopped for the night. She texted back and said she had and would FaceTime after her shower. I looked up as my ex-dad walked in. He asked, Son, may I speak with you? I shrugged and said, Sure, but I am Caleb, not son. He sighed and sat across from me. He said, Your mother and I? Okay, Allison and I would like to know what we can do to earn your forgiveness. Our family has been fractured for 2 years, and it's destroying us. We can't continue this way. The pack is talking. I chuckle. Ha, seriously? Fractured? That shit is fucking broken, Chansey. You ask what you can do. I doubt there's anything you can do. Can you turn back time? Can you undo the past 20 years? Except that you gave birth to twin daughters and treat them equally? Can you erase the night I nearly lost my sister as she bled out on the floor of a room she was no longer welcome in? Because her wolf didn't want to survive the loss of her mate? Get back to me when you can change the past and make it right. Chapter 5. Choked on my own spit. I stand on the steps on Anderson's right, while his Luna stands on his left. She's dressed in a figure-hugging neon green spandex-type dress that barely covers her ass. In 6-inch heels, Bastian sneers. Luna looks more like a hooker than the queen, and I choke on my own spit. Goddess save me. We watch as Alpha Draco arrives with his entourage. He's been traveling packs, searching for his mate. We are the 3rd in his itinerary of 8. This should be good. He stands up from the passenger side of the car, and, holy hugeness, he has to be at least 6'9" and as broad as a house. Damn, not someone I want to piss off. His eyes locked onto Amelia, roaming up and down her body. Then he walked straight to us. Anderson stepped forward and said, Alpha Draco, I am Alpha Anderson Kane, my beta Caleb Heartsong. Yes, I changed my last name when Aurora did. And my mate Amelia Griffin Kane. He shook Anderson's hand, turned to me and said, Heartsong? That's not only the name of my neighboring pack, but also the name of a young, promising attorney I recently hired to rid me of my legal woes. I smiled and nodded. Yes, my sister, Aurora. You will be quite pleased with her accomplishments. He nodded back. Then he turned to Amelia. She just has to open her mouth. He's my brother too. But because Aurora was banished for being a nonconformist, he refuses to tell anyone that. She was my twin. He raises his eyebrow. Was your twin? Is she not still your twin? And what is this about banishment? Should I be concerned? Anderson clears his throat and tells him, perhaps this is something better spoken about in private. Draco hums and said, yes. After lunch, perhaps? I would like to freshen up. This is my beta, Adrian, and Gamma Culver. We all shook hands, and Amelia tittered her way inside, offering to show them their rooms. Draco stopped her and said an Omega would serve the purpose. I nearly cracked up. This is too good. I went to the office and readied a beverage tray with bourbon, scotch, and cognac, not knowing a liquor preference for the alpha. Anderson came in and remarked, "That is a huge man. When I tell him about your sister, I will accept no interruption." I chuckled. If you think I will sit quietly and allow you to defame Aurora, you have another think coming, Anderson. She is the only innocent party in this entire charade. He growled and said, maybe it's best if you sit this one out. I have no intention of telling him anything more than she refused to follow pact protocol. I snapped, which is a lie. She not only followed protocol, she followed the goddess edicts. We both know she was banished for having the balls to do what you weren't man enough to do. Fuck, Anderson. You didn't even want to accept the rejection. You wanted her to stay and be tortured every day while you fucked a chosen? He snarled, "Get out. Get the fuck out now." I grinned. "With pleasure, Alpha." As I closed the door, I heard all kinds of shit hitting the walls, the door, the floor. Ha ha ha, he's throwing a fit. Goody. I rounded the corner and nearly bumped into Adrian, the beta from Draco's pack. I grinned and said, "Hey dude, want to join me for a beer?" He nodded and smiled. We grabbed our beers and sat down. I said, "I want to tell you about my sister. The reason being, I doubt my alpha will want me in his office when he tells your alpha what actually happened. We don't quite see eye to eye on the tale." Adrian grinned hugely and asked, "Is it dramatic? Please tell me it's full of drama. This trip has been so boring. I am in serious need of a little excitement." I grinned and said, "Then buckle up. It's about as dramatic as it gets." I proceeded to tell him everything, starting with how my family always treated her, to Amelia and Anderson dating, to Aurora's near death the night before she left. I finished with, Anderson finally rejected her the next morning as she was getting into her Jeep to drive away. He whistled low. "Bro, that's bad. I mean, that is really bad. How are you still his beta?" I shrugged. Aurora made me promise. She told me she knew Anderson would be a weak alpha, and it would break her heart if the pack fell apart. I fear it may happen anyway. He sighs. "Yeah, that's tough. Your sister seems like a good person. I'm sorry that happened to her. Nobody should feel that pain. What was your alpha even thinking? That, how could her own family do that to her? How did you turn out normal?" I laughed. Normal? It's a stretch. Rory gets the credit for any normalcy I exhibit. She definitely kept me sane. She's a breath of fresh air. She was. Anyway. Our family has a way of sucking the air right out of a room. Their golden girl has taken up the baton in their absence. He laughed. Yep, I can see that. She was definitely a little underdressed for a meet and greet with a visiting alpha. To be honest, I was a little shocked. Not something you see a Luna wearing on the daily, for sure. I laughed uproariously. Wait until dinner. If you think that was shocking, that was one of her more conservative outfits. He shivered. Oh, goddess, something to look forward to. We talked a while longer. Adrian was a really great guy. Told him I was really happy to have met him. He grinned. Me too, dude. We'll see more of each other. Your sister is gonna be with us a while. He stood. With me. It was lunchtime, so we headed to the dining hall together. He said, "Holy shit, what is she wearing?" And I cracked up. She had on a tiny pleated skirt, platforms, and a halter top. Bastian snarks, "Maybe we need to pave the driveway. We need a street for her to walk." And again, choked on my own spit.
Chapter 6, I Hate You All. Draco Arconium's point of view. What a waste of time this trip has turned into. This pack. Well, this pack is just a huge disappointment. The only one here I might be even slightly interested in talking to is that beta. My only consolation at this point is I have decided to return home tomorrow. I linked my beta. "Adrian, the fuck are you?" Having quite the tete-a-tete with the beta. He's a good guy, Draco. A little disillusioned with the alpha. I will tell you about it. Let's just get through this lunch and the rest of this day. Heard the word alpha. Shut up. I met up with Adrian and beta Caleb, walking into the dining hall for lunch. I muttered, "The fuck is that woman wearing?" Caleb and Adrian both laughed, and I glanced sideways at them. Adrian shrugged. Caleb and I were just discussing the Luna's wardrobe. Looking around, I asked, "Culver, why must he be late?" "Every damn time. He's going to be late to his own funeral, and I'm going to revive him just so I can kill him." Caleb laughed again and responded, "I sent an Omega to fetch him." At that moment, Culver comes running in, his clothes askew, his hair all over the place, and Adrian says, "Oh, that's where he was," just as an Omega sneaks in behind him, going to her table. Goddess spare me. I barely get through the meal. The Luna chattering non-stop over some inconsequential bullshit about handbags and matching shoes. Like I said, barely made it. Sitting here in the Alpha's office, nursing a Jameson's, I wait to hear this nonconformist banishment story. It's only Alpha Anderson, which I find odd, but choose to hold my tongue for the time being. Anderson has yet to speak on the topic I want to know about, so I cut him off. "Alpha, all that is quite interesting, I'm sure, but I am more interested in the banishment of my new attorney." He clears his throat and says yes, and clears his throat again. That almost always indicates I am about to hear some bullshit that won't fly. He starts, "Aurora was born into this pack, and well, I started dating Amelia, my Luna, 5 years ago. When I came home 2 years back from Alpha training, I had decided to take her as my chosen the night of my ascension, which was a few hours away. Aurora disagreed with it, as Amelia wasn't my true mate. And Aurora is nothing if not conventional. She believes in the goddess's doctrine and thinks we should settle for nothing less. Her disrespect to my father was over the top, and he banished her for it. She couldn't conform to my choices and argued with my father about it. I sat there for like 5 minutes, 2 minutes, maybe 45 seconds. I don't know. I asked, "That's it? That's all?" She was banished for questioning her Alpha's choice to thwart the goddess's authority. A beta-born woman was banished for expressing her opinion? Let me get this straight. Your father banished her for voicing her thoughts about you taking a chosen? Had you found your mate? Had your Luna found hers? He shook his head and said, "No. We both just decided to be each other's chosen." Okay, I'm not getting it. What am I missing? I asked again. So, the two of you decided that you would deprive 2 others the right to the other half of their souls, without knowing or even caring about the damage this might cause your true mates. And you banished the twin sister for feeling the way almost everyone else feels? Making her rogue? He said, "Putting it that way, it sounds bad. But it was a mutual decision, and we were satisfied with it." Adrian links me to ask where his beta is, so I ask, "Why is your beta not here?" I would like to hear his take on this. He clears his throat again. Caleb and I don't quite see eye to eye on this, so I volunteered to be the one to relay the information. I nod. Not sitting right. Something just doesn't mesh. Did you fight for the girl to stay? I mean, you could have lifted the banishment that same night. No? You were Alpha not even 3 hours after your father issued the order. So, his indignant reply was, I would never override Alpha's orders, especially my own father's. I said, I would say I see, but I don't. Not really. What I actually see is piss-poor leadership, which could have easily cost the life of your Luna's twin sister. But okay. I will induct her into my pack and be grateful for her expertise in handling my legal affairs. I just hope what you've told me isn't a falsehood. I asked, do you mind if my men and I go for a run? Asmodeus feels the need to stretch his legs. He stood, saying, I will join you. Nodding, I growled, suit yourself. I would ask your beta joins as well. Adrian and he have made a connection. We ran a few hours. And truth be told, Sacred Moon is a beautiful territory. Unfortunately, her leaders, not so much. I shifted from Asmodeus and slipped into sweats to get a shower. After dinner, we said our goodnights. I had told them I wanted to get an early start in the morning. I told Adrian to bring Caleb to my rooms. I wanted to talk to him. He came in and I poured us drinks. I smiled and said, your Alpha told me the two of you didn't quite see eye to eye on the circumstances behind your sister's banishment. I would like to hear your version of the event. By the time he had finished, I felt my eyes burning and could taste smoke. Looking at him, I said, little something I don't share with many people. I am a hybrid. My other part is dragon. His name is Donna, and he's a tad pissed at the moment. Bear with me while I talk him down. Oh, and Caleb. Make sure your Alpha, his Luna, her parents, and his are on the steps in the morning when I take my leave. I think you'll enjoy the follow-through. He nodded, saying goodnight. The next morning, Adrian waltzed through my door, asking, good times? And I grinned, great times. Let's get a little payback for the banished true Luna, shall we? I walked out the front door, noticing Caleb had done as I asked, and I shot him a wink. Anderson introduced his parents and his Luna's parents. I was polite. I shook everyone's hands. When I got to Anderson, I said, I would say it's been a pleasure, but I'm not a liar. I stepped off the porch and started toward the cars. I stopped, turning around. I grinned and said, oh, one more thing. Amelia, I, Draco Arconium, Alpha of Draconium Pack, King of Dragons, reject you, Amelia Griffin Kane, as my true mate, Luna, and Queen. Accept it. They all stood there, gaping, while Caleb sat holding his sides, roaring in laughter. I roared, accept it, now. She mumbled, I accept, and rejected me back. As I was getting in my car, I heard her scream, my true mate is a fucking king. I hate you all.
Chapter 7. I met my new boss, Aurora's point of view. I arrived at the gates of Draconium 2.5 days after the start of my journey. I was immediately escorted to the pack house, and what a magnificent house it was. All natural stone and glass, with amazing views, all sides surrounded by picturesque vistas that took my breath away. I was shown to my quarters, which was essentially a full-sized apartment, a huge living space with a small kitchenette, a bedroom and an ensuite, and the views. Oh my goddess, the views! I showered and unpacked my luggage. I placed pictures of Caleb around my room, making me feel at home. I heard a voice say, Miss Heartsong. I looked around, confused a moment. Then I spotted an intercom system on the wall by my door. Nifty. I pushed the button, asking, yes? The voice asked if I would be coming down for dinner, or should something be sent up. I immediately said, I will come down. I don't want to be waited on. I can take care of myself. I checked my clothes, making sure I was presentable. I headed down the 4 floors to find the dining hall. I entered and all the chatter stopped, everyone turning their heads to look at me. I smiled and said, don't mind me, I'm just the new PAX attorney. Please, don't let me interrupt your meal. I am Aurora Heartsong. A lovely young woman asked, as in Heartsong pack? I grinned and said, exactly like that. That is my grandmother's pack. She smiled and nodded. Welcome. Aurora, my name is Naomi. I said, pleased to meet you, and sat down to fill my plate. Naomi moved to sit next to me and said, it's so nice to have another woman close to my age again. Mind if I sit? I smiled. I would love that. She said, I'm the pack's lead female warrior. Do you train? I nodded and admitted that I do, and asked if she would spar with me in the morning. She clapped her hands and squealed, oh, I would love that. We finished dinner, and Naomi showed me my offices. I said, I will need a couple assistants. Do you know of anyone in the pack with a background in law? She smiled, saying, my mom used to be a paralegal, and I believe there are a couple people who might be interested. You can put an ad up on the job board in the lobby? I grinned. Naomi, I believe you may have been goddess sent. Just then, she squealed again. I raised an eyebrow and waited. She said excitedly, the alpha cut his trip short. They're heading home 3 months early. I wonder, he must have found his mate to be coming back so soon. Not having anything to say, I just nodded. Back in my room, I noticed the rest of my boxes had been delivered, so I unpacked everything, putting it all away. Glad to have my Keurig and pods. I do not function without morning coffee. I climbed into bed and dialed Caleb. He answered with the biggest smile I had seen in a while. Brother. He laughs. My sweet peanut. All hell is broken loose and I am truly loving every second of it. Know what they say about karma? I nod and say, it's a bitch. His grin widens and he says, boy howdy, truer words were never spoken. He explained what had happened and I was flabbergasted. Amelia had met her true mate. Then my heart went out to him. The poor man had 6 months before the last traces of the bond dissipate. I hope he is strong. It is a pain I would wish on no one. I asked Caleb where he was going. As I noticed he was walking, he put his finger to his lips as he carried his phone with him. I heard Alpha John and Chansey yell at Caleb, and I was instantly pissed. Chansey yelled, did you know? Did you fucking know? Your sister is heartbroken. It will take 6 months for her wounds to heal. Caleb calmly said, I didn't know, but my sister is no longer heartbroken. She has completely healed. Whatever your daughter is going through is a direct result of your conniving ways. But my sister is just fine. John said, you had better stay close to Anderson until Amelia pulls through this. He will need to rely on your strength for a while. Caleb laughed and said, that's different than any other day. How? John snarled, you are exactly like your sister. Get out of here with that disrespect. Chuckling, Caleb said, gladly, and thank you. If only more of us were like my sister. I scolded him. Caleb, you promised. He grinned at me and said, I promised to take care of the pack, and I am doing that. I did not promise to take care of a baby alpha. I laughed, telling him I love him. I hung up and crawled back into bed. There is nothing I miss about Sacred Moon. Not anymore. I was asleep within minutes. The next morning, I stepped from my rooms dressed in a black pencil skirt, 4-inch heels, and a white button-down blouse with bouffant sleeves. My hair was pulled into a low chignon with tendrils framing my face. My makeup consisted of winged liner, mascara, and a blush lipstick. I headed to my office and quickly typed up an ad, asking for anyone with administrative experience in the legal field. I pinned it to the job board in the lobby and headed to breakfast. Naomi waved me over, whistling, "Damn girl, you make office chic sexy as hell. I do you." I laughed. This girl was rapidly becoming my best friend. We parted ways after setting up a spar time, and I headed to my offices. As I entered my corridor, there was a queue of maybe 10 people. The first in line was Naomi's mother. I invited her in and offered her a seat as she handed me her resume. I read it over, and her credentials were impressive. I asked, "You haven't worked in nearly 4 years. A health issue?" She smiled and said, "Not mine. My mother was ill. She passed recently, and Naomi moved out. I find myself at loose ends, empty nest syndrome, I think." I grinned and stood, shaking her hand. I said, "Welcome aboard, Connie. I look forward to working together." I went through the other applications, deciding on a man named Albert, an attorney who specialized in real property law. Happy with my team now, and it's just lunchtime. A productive morning. At lunch, Naomi introduced me to several warriors, and I felt like I was settling in nicely. Naomi said, "Alpha should be home by nightfall, probably around 4. And I asked, "Wait, what? That's early for nightfall." She laughed and said, "Alaska in the fall, baby." Oh, right. I went back to my office and started sifting through the lawsuits filed against the pack. 7 so far. We were being sued by the state of Alaska to run a natural gas pipeline straight through the middle of draconium territory. Oh, hell no. I immediately drafted a stay and emailed the council to grant a continuance on the hearing scheduled for next week. I needed more time to prepare. 2 suits were property disputes, and I immediately called a surveyor out to run the parameters of the full extent of our territory, border to border. I filed a petition with the real estate and tax offices to recognize our rights of personal property, then filed incorporation certification for PAC recognition. I glanced at the clock and realized my sparring time was rapidly approaching. Locking my office, I ran to my room. I changed into a pair of leggings and a sports bra. Yanking my chignon out, I quickly braided my hair and wrapped it in a tight bun. Asking for directions to the training center, I finally made it to the gym. Naomi grinned, asking, "Ready to get that ass handed to you?" I smirked. "Yours? Sure. Show me what you got." We were pretty evenly matched. On our 4th tap out, at 2 each, I flipped over her head, wrapping my legs around her upper body and had her in a chokehold when I hear a deep voice. "Naomi, have you seen the new?" She tapped out, and I met my new boss.
Chapter 8, Something New for Us. Draco's point of view. She's stunning. Please, goddess, don't let her be an insipid little twit like her twin. I doubt I could take 2 years of that. I walked in, seeing Naomi in a headlock and tapping out. That tells me she at least has some skills. But seeing that face every day, being reminded of my unfaithful mate every single day, I don't know. I just don't know. I'm seated at the dinner table when she walks in with Naomi. She's dressed in skinny jeans and a graphic tee that states, "I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious," and it took me a minute to understand. Funny. They're laughing and I hear Naomi say, Yeah, double or nothing tomorrow. Let it ride?" Aurora laughed. "Fine, tomorrow you'll owe me 20. She steps over to me, sticking her hand out, says, "Aurora Heartsong, Alpha Arconium. It's nice to officially meet you," without my legs wrapped around another woman. I laughed and shook her hand. Culver said, "What, scissors? Where was I?" She grinned. "No, headlock. And you are?" He laughs. "Gamma, Culver Muldoon." Nodding, she sat down beside Naomi, and I introduced her to Adrian. He said, "Holy fuck, you look just like your sister." Her face darkened, and she quietly said, "You're mistaken. I do not have a sister. I do, however, have a brother. We're orphans, by choice. And that is all I will say about that." She asked me, "Will I be inducted into the Pack Alpha?" Isla is driving me crazy to run, and I didn't allow her to. It's dangerous without a mind link. I nodded. "How about we take care of that after dinner?" She smiled brightly and thanked me.
Adrian linked. The resemblance is uncanny. If they were side by side, I couldn't tell them apart. They are very different. Her eyes light up. Her smile is genuine. Even her hair is a shade lighter. Most importantly, her personality is actually present. Amelia had none. Adrian started choking, and Aurora immediately patted him on the back, admonishing him to be careful and chew his food better, making me laugh. "Okay, Maybe I can get through the next couple years. She knocks on my office door, and Adrian admits her. She smiles and sits down, then says, "Fire away. I know you have questions." I shook my head. I honestly don't. I read your college transcripts, your senior thesis. You are more than qualified, in my opinion. Your brother filled us in on personal details, and only because I admit to being concerned about your banishment. When I heard. She nodded, saying, "Let me guess. Anderson painted me as a disrespectful little jit who ran rampant around the pack house, always wanting my way." Adrian barked out a laugh. "Pretty much." Again, she nodded. "Did he tell you he wanted to keep me so Axel wouldn't weaken? He expected me to just accept he was mated to the twat? And I don't know, let it destroy me? His father tried to command me to accept his decision and suck it up. Dumbass didn't realize he had never been able to command me to do shit my entire life." I chuckled. "No, he didn't tell me that. He didn't even tell me you were his mate. Just that you resented him for going against the goddess's edicts." She grins. "Yep, sounds about right. He likes to think he's a master at the art of deflection. I do want you to know how very sorry I am that you are going through this. The first couple months can be hell. So if you ever need to just talk, know that I will listen, in a been there, done that kind of way." She apologized, literally feels bad for me having to face rejection. Definitely not a shallow person. I believe I will be able to see her every day and not be hurt by it. I ask, "What made you choose law?" She sat up straighter and said, "That's easy. With the integration into the human world, shifters are facing a million problems. Land encroachments, false accusations, insurance liabilities because of our strengths. I don't want to see our kind being taken advantage of. I know the ins and outs of shifters' laws, but I also know the ins and outs of human laws. If I can help it, I will not allow our species to be taken advantage of. We have the right to govern ourselves without being on the outside of any laws." I smile at how passionate she is, so I ask, "Why didn't Amelia further her education?" She laughed. "Oh, she did. At 16, she decided she was Luna and only needed to smile and look pretty. That takes a lot of hard work." Adrian laughed again. "Yeah, I think she failed that Luna course." Aurora rolled her eyes. "Still wearing her slut costumes then? She believes less is more and all eyes should be on her. I never understood the concept, if I'm honest with myself." I said, "Let's get you inducted into the pack. Then Isla can run. Maybe Asmodeus can show you around?" She smiled and said, "Sounds good to me." She swore allegiance, and I felt her bond snap into place. I linked, "Can you hear me?" She grinned and responded, "Boy, feels good to have a link again. It's only been Caleb and I for so long. Isla is practically purring." I laughed. The image of a wolf purring is funny. I asked, "Did you want to run a bit tonight? It might do her some good to stretch it out." She nodded, saying, "Yes, please." We headed outside. I had decided to take her toward the southern border. The terrain was a little flatter and easier to maneuver in the dark. She shifted into a large silver wolf, nearly the size of a normal alpha. It's obvious she's an alpha-born beta, and Isla is beautiful. I called Asmodeus forward, and we took off running. Isla was an adorable, playful wolf, bouncing over Asmo's back and nipping his heels. She yipped and chased a snow rabbit down a hole. We reached an overlook and stopped to rest a minute. Isla began singing, a soulful sound that pulled at my soul. Then I realized she is a heart song. And this is exactly how they got their name. She sang for about 20 minutes. I heard others joining in, a grateful, happy sound. Something new for us. Chapter 9. Hoisted by your own Petard. Aurora's point of view. It feels good having a pack link. That saying, "You don't know what you've got till it's gone," is truer than I realized. I dressed in black dress slacks and a navy blue silk cami with a small floral print. Tossing on a black blazer and heels, I was out the door for breakfast. I left my hair loose, but pulled the sides away from my face. I told everyone good morning, and Albert came over. Ms. Hartsong, Council emailed that your motion for continuance has been approved. However, Moon Hollow Pack filed a grievance against us for water rights. I smiled at him. Thank you, Albert. We will take a look at the paperwork when we get in. Sit down and enjoy your breakfast for now. I sat, and Adrian asked, You always dress to impress for work? I nodded and grinned. Are you impressed? But yes, I do. I represent Draconium Pack now, and in the course of any day, I don't know who I may encounter. No way would I ever not be presentable. He laughed. Hells yeah. I'm impressed. You look high class, like we some important people here. Draco chuckled. Stop, Adrian. You do look beautiful, Aurora. But please ignore my beta. I worked the morning away, filing all the necessary paperwork for the appropriate cases, until I came upon a lawsuit filed by us against a were of dragons, particularly targeting the Alpha, for crimes against humanity. Searching through the file, there was no more information. Whoever filed it hadn't followed through. I linked Draco, asking if he was busy. He said he was in his office and told me to come see him. I walked in, and he was sitting with Adrian and Culver, working through paperwork. I smiled. I'm sorry to bother you. I do fear it may happen a few more times over the coming weeks, while I clear my office. The room went so still, so thick with tension, it felt like I was gasping for air. He sighed. Well, as you know, I am a dragon-wolf hybrid and the Dragon King. I jumped up and blurted out. What? Wait, no, I didn't know. Why was that pertinent information not given to me? He laughed and said, I'm sorry, I thought that had been covered in your interview. Again, I shook my head. No interview. I wasn't interviewed by anyone. Your proposition was handed to me, along with 22 others, by the council a week before my graduation. Adrian laughed. Damn, brother. We made the cut out of 23. That's 'cause we're just awesome like that. I curled my lip at him. It's because I was told you had close ties to a dragon were up here, and I've always felt most discrimination is targeted toward dragons, and I wanted to help. Not because Alpha Draco is king. Shit. Shit, shit, shit. Draco laughed again. Deep breath, Aurora. What do you need from me? I did as he said, took several deep breaths actually, and asked, why was this case not pursued? And what crimes are being committed against the people? Culver punched a few keys on his laptop and turned it toward me. I saw pictures of 5 different people in human form, all showing varying degrees of wounds and bruises. Then their dragon counterparts. Culver pointed to the dragons. Look, see here. Here. And here? At my nod, he said, Michelson abuses his people. We're talking torture, beatings, shit like that. But this? See the notches in the wings? I nodded again, and he continued. Those injuries aren't just to cause pain. They take a long time to heal, and the placement of them prevents flight. Isla growled. He hobbles his people, grounds them, so they can't escape? Draco nodded. I muttered, motherfucker. Then I asked, why was the lawsuit not pursued? Adrian told me. When the process server went to deliver the summons, Michelson had moved the ware. The entire ware of 200 just vanished. I sat back down, deflated. Are we looking? Have efforts continued to find this piece of shit? And where are the 5 people who came forward? Safe, I hope. Draco snarled at me. The 5 are indeed safe. They're members of the pack. Search teams are in the sky every day. No luck so far. The case can't move forward until Michelson is located. I looked directly into his eyes and said, "May I pursue it? With sworn testimony of the victims, I can move forward to convict in absentia." Adrian asked, "What the fuck does that even mean? Absentia?" I grinned. I don't need a defendant in a courtroom in the face of overwhelming evidence. If the victims are willing to swear statements and testify, I can win this. Then, he becomes a wanted fugitive from justice, as opposed to a person of interest. Draco leaned back in his chair. "What do you need?" Nodding, I let him know. "I need to interview the victims, take their statements, transcribe them, and submit them as evidence to the council. Then, we issue a blanket notice that this is going to trial. If Michelson doesn't show up at the appointed date and time of the hearing, he forfeits his right to defense. Done deal." Culver asked, "And if he shows up?" I replied, "I depose him, and he gives his side of the story. Either way, he would have to come out of hiding, which gives us an opportunity to discover his where." Draco asked, "How soon?" "We lost contact with Michelson 6 months ago. Our previous attorney told us there was nothing we could do until he was located. That didn't ring true with me. Something felt off. How long ago did your attorney leave, and what was his reason?" Adrian responded, "He left a little over 5 months ago. His reason was an illness in his family, and he was needed home, somewhere south." Draco leaned back in his chair. "What do you need?" Nodding, I let him know. "I need to interview the victims, take their statements, transcribe them, and submit them as evidence to the council. Then, we issue a blanket notice that this is going to trial. If Michelson doesn't show up at the appointed date and time of the hearing, he forfeits his right to defense. Done deal." Culver asked, "And if he shows up?" I replied, "Then depose him, and he gives his side of the story. Either way, he would have to come out of hiding, which gives us an opportunity to discover his where." Draco asked, "How soon?" "We lost contact with Michelson 6 months ago. Our previous attorney told us there was nothing we could do until he was located. That didn't ring true with me. Something felt off. How long ago did your attorney leave, and what was his reason?" Adrian responded, "He left a little over 5 months ago. His reason was an illness in his family, and he was needed home, somewhere south." I smirked, and nobody found it suspect that this lawsuit was filed with the Shifters Commission. Michelson disappeared before he could be served, and the attorney leaves? That didn't seem too coincidental. How did the Alpha know to move his where? Draco leaned his elbows on his desk, holding his chin. "Son of a freaking bitch. That bastard betrayed us. I want him found and brought to me. Goddess damn it, Aurora, carte blanche. Do what you need, no matter the cost. We step up efforts, find that where. I want those people safe." I stood up. "On it, boss. For the record, I believe the threat of absentia conviction will flush Michelson out of hiding." Culver grinned. "Finally. I like you, girl. Your no-nonsense approach is going to make such a difference. Why can't all lawyers look like you?" I asked, What the hell do looks have to do with it?" Adrian grinned and said, "That's his way of getting into your pants." I laughed. "Yep. Never gonna happen, Spiffy. These pants stay on until I find my second chance. So don't waste your time. I'm immune." Draco laughed and told him, "Hoisted by your own petard."
Chapter 10. She was brutal. Draco's point of view. I ordered my dragons to widen the search for Michelson, and Culver started tracking down the attorney, Johnston. Aurora said she doubted he gave up practicing law, so odds are we'll find a trace of him, unless he didn't actually go south, which is highly likely if he betrayed us to Michelson. Dragons hate the heat of southern climes. She told me at breakfast that she had worked diligently with the victims over the last 3 days to get their statements and to coach them on their testimony. She's also filing civil lawsuits against Michelson for monetary compensation for pain and suffering. There's nothing a dragon loves more than his jewels and gold. Shiny things make us happy. Luckily, Donna balances out with Asmo, so I don't feel that compulsory need to hoard any riches. I am amazed by Aurora every day. She works tirelessly for what she feels is right. Today we're flying to the council for our first hearing on the natural gas pipeline. I have to be there, of course, since I'm the owner of record, even though she has incorporated my pack. Boarding the plane, I smile at her. She looks nervous. Don't like flying? She sits down and groans. Wolves aren't meant to fly. Otherwise, we'd have wings. I take her hand and say, just hold tight to me. Maybe next time, I'll just let you ride Donag's back. Her eyes lit up and she giggled. Now that's a flight I might enjoy. This whole 5-ton metal box being airborne doesn't sit well with me. The flight was uneventful. Still, she released a heavy breath on touchdown. I had to laugh. Next time try a whiskey. It soothes the nerves. She smirked and bolsters an attorney's reputation in court. Oh look, here comes the soused lawyer. I laughed at her. You're too cute. Our hearing isn't until morning. No one would know. She just grinned. We got to our hotel rooms. Adrian on one side of her, mine on the other. Her room was adjacent to mine, so we could go over what we wanted to convey to the commission one last time. We agreed to meet downstairs for dinner. And now I'm standing outside her door, waiting for her to answer, after sending Adrian down to procure a table. I was dressed in a dark suit and light gray button-down shirt. No tie, of course. I seriously dislike those things. She opened her door, dressed in a silky, silvery dress that hugged her body, flaring at the hips into a full skirt that flowed down to her knees. Her hair was loose, cascading down her back, and she wore strappy 4-inch heels, looking every inch a lady. In my infinite wisdom, the only word I could utter was, wow. She giggled and told me stop. In the elevator, I said, I find myself so very attracted to you, but I know you're waiting for your second chance. Why is that? You were the one who rejected that jackass. I didn't think the one who did the rejecting was entitled to a second chance. She blushed and replied, if the rejection is justifiable, then yes, we get a second chance. I'm not one to play coy, although I am a little shy, but I'm attracted to you as well. In 3.5 months, who knows? Your 6 months will have passed, and your second chance can be found. Goddess willing, it may be me. We found Adrian and were seated, looking over the menu. Our drinks arrived, and I was surprised to see she had ordered a Jameson's. Neat. I raised a brow at her glass, and she giggled, one won't hurt. I laughed. It's actually that I'm surprised. I expected a girly drink. She scoffed. Oh, please. I might clean up good, but a girly girl I ain't. Adrian laughed. She's a warrior, dude. I shrugged. Just surprise me a little, okay? She giggled again and said, I'll keep that in mind. Surprising you will be my new endeavor. As our food arrived, we heard a loud voice yell, Peanut. Her head swiveled, searching for the keeper of that voice, a huge smile lighting up her face. Spotting him, she yelled, Bubba, and ran to him. I grinned at the sight of their hug as he spun her in a circle. Adrian and I stood to greet Caleb and asked him to join us. He immediately sat down, stopping the server and asking her to bring his meal to our table. They both asked, Why are you here? Then laughed at each other. She told him she was working. and he said Anderson and his parents are here about a land dispute with Black Hill Pack. It's an ongoing feud that started during John's reign. Amelia and her parents are here as well. Chansey has to testify. He's actually the primary witness for Sacred Moon. She nodded and asked, "Who's minding the store while all the key employees are on holiday?" He laughed again. "You left that place running like a fine oiled machine, Rory. I've made sure everything you implemented has stayed in place. Goddess knows our Luna is a disaster." I asked what he meant, and he scoffed. "Luna Amelia is little more than Anderson's arm candy, and more like a Sour Patch Kid than a Ghirardelli chocolate, if you know what I mean." Aurora cracked up. "Oh my goddess, Caleb, that's horrible." He just shrugged and dug into his meal. Amelia, dressed in a hot pink lycra bodycon dress and towering heels, gave a smug smile and said, "Well, I'm not surprised to see you clinging to what I left behind, sister." Aurora looked around, glanced behind her and over her shoulder, replying calmly, "Oh, were you talking to me? I was looking for your sister." Allison snapped. Aurora rose. "Why you must persist in these childish games is beyond me." Aurora chuckled, her tone cool. "That doesn't surprise me, Allison. A lot of things are beyond you. The ability to love two daughters equally, that's beyond you. Supporting and encouraging true mate bonds, also beyond you. Even the basics of maternal care and love, sadly, beyond you. So the idea that I severed family ties, not as a game, but as a necessity. No surprise, that too is beyond you." Chansey moved suddenly to strike her, but I caught his hand mid-air. "Laying a hand on a member of my pack is an act of war, Griffin. Are you sure you want to go down that path?" We said goodnight to Caleb, and Aurora kissed Luna Bridget's cheek, then shot a pointed look at Anderson. With a cool smile, she said, "You really should keep your dog on a leash in public, Alpha Kane." An excellent parting shot. So proud of this woman. The perfect blend of confidence and sass. We walked away laughing. Adrian chuckled. "Damn, girl, I see why you're such a good attorney. You cut that woman to shreds with just words." I had to agree. She was brutal, in the classiest of ways.
Chapter 11. Which one? Aurora's point of view. I was up early, showered, and had dressed in a navy blue suit jacket with a matching pencil skirt, a white silk blouse, and navy and white color-blocked 3-inch heels. My hair was neatly braided and bunned at the nape of my neck. I felt Draco's presence at the door and opened it before he could knock. He grinned. "Eager, are we?" I laughed. "Why, yes, Alpha. I plan on dazzling them with my magic." He nodded in agreement. "You're going to distract them with your beauty. They'll forget why they're even there." Adrian groaned. "Will you two stop? It's too early for this flirty banter. I need caffeine before I decapitate someone." I laughed and took his arm. "Let's hurry then, before you're running helter-skelter through the corridors yelling, 'Off with their heads,' like the Queen of Hearts." Draco followed, laughing. We walked into the council hearing room, and I groaned under my breath. I absolutely hate that all cases are heard consecutively, ours being after sacred moons. Yet we all have to sit through every single one. It's council edict, of course, designed to educate every alpha in attendance on how the laws are applied. Sacred Moon lost their dispute, forced to return nearly 1,000 acres to Black Hills, not because they were in the wrong, but because their attorney was utterly incompetent. By the time Draconium was called, I was more than ready. As the defendants, we waited while American Gas, the plaintiffs, presented their case first. When they finished, I stood and countered with clear factual evidence, demonstrating the massive carbon footprint the proposed pipeline would leave on land, the harm it would cause to local wildlife, the deterioration of air quality, and the years it would take for the area to recover, all of which far outweighed the supposed benefit of a shorter route. The counsel asked the plaintiff if they wished to offer a rebuttal. Their attorney stood and stated, "The pipeline will allow more than 1 million people a more economical way to heat and cool their homes, to heat water, or prepare meals. We can guarantee the damage left would be minimal." I then stood and said, "Minimal? To whom? You would have to remove over 20,000 acres of trees, depriving birds, insects, and squirrels of their natural habitat. You would churn the earth into mush, disturbing rabbit hutches, natural wolf dens, groundhogs, prairie dogs, chipmunks, mice, and countless other creatures, making them virtually homeless. And then you risk gas leaks, which could lead to massive forest fires if a single spark catches. The astronomical cost to recover from that, where would it come from? If you're prepared to compensate the billions of dollars it would take to restore the damage, I might be able to persuade my client to reconsider. Would you also be willing to humanely trap all the displaced wildlife and relocate them at your own expense to guarantee they would not unduly suffer? If so, it would behoove me to discuss that alternative with the landowner." I sat back down and we waited. I held Adrian and Draco's hands in my own, offering a silent prayer to the goddess. Lead councilman announced, 10 minutes later, continued construction of American gas pipeline through draconium territory is denied. This council cannot in good conscience allow the earth to be so disturbed. I breathed a sigh of relief. The owner of the pipeline jumped up and shouted, "This is bullshit. This hearing was a farce, prejudiced and geared toward shifter justice. I will appeal in human court." I smiled calmly and replied, "Please do. I will defeat you there as well. It's idiotic to believe that human courts will overturn a council verdict, and inconceivable that they would even entertain the notion. Our treaties clearly state that shifters have the right to govern ourselves. We are a country within a country, gentlemen. And for the record, shifter justice, we are adhering strictly to our laws. Otherwise, as shifters, we would have just killed you and been done with it. Stop being a sore loser." The day was finally over, and we were joining Caleb for dinner. I dressed accordingly in a deep red shift dress and black shawl, with matching black heels. I piled my hair on top of my head in a messy bun and loose tendrils. We met Caleb just as Anderson and his party walked in to be seated. Adrian asked, "Doesn't that woman own any real clothes? How can Kane not be embarrassed by that blatant display of vulgarity?" I cracked up. "Damn, Ads, tell us how you really feel." He shivered his whole body in disgust, making me laugh again. Amelia honestly did look like a hooker. Another neon-colored dress with a plunging neckline. I whispered, "I hope she tipped her boobs in place, or there's going to be a nip slip in her soup." Caleb roared with laughter. "Nip slip? Oh my goddess, Rory, that's priceless." Draco whispered into my ear, "Thank you for always dressing with such classic taste. You are elegant and exotic all at the same time." I shrugged. It is always possible to look decent and sexy at the same time. Amelia has ever been an attention whore. She likes eyes on her all the time. Caleb grins and says, "Yeah, that works, for a moment." I see every man turn to eyeball her. Then they all turn away with a what the fuck expression. Adrian laughed and high-fived my brother. I admonished him, "Cal, that is still your Luna. She doesn't deserve to be talked about by her beta." He grinned again and said, "No, baby sister, you are my Luna. She is a poor substitute. She's Anderson's Luna. Even the pack go behind her back to do exactly what she tells them not to. She's a joke." I sighed, so disappointed in her. She had 3 years lessons in Luna etiquette. What the fuck was she doing? 6 hours a day, 4 days a week? Chewing on pencils? Is this a result of lead poisoning? Draco spit his drink out his nose, choking on laughter, and said, "Oh goddess, I'm sorry for laughing, because I know you're being serious, but that was some funny shit." As we walked out of the restaurant, Amelia came over and asked, "Aurora, can I talk to you a minute?" I rolled my eyes, muttering, "Here we go." And I stepped off to the side, not so far that she couldn't be heard though. She whined. I know you hate me because Anderson and I fell in love, and that deprived you of your true mate. But to make Mama and Daddy suffer is just you being childish. You need to grow up and stop trying to get back at me by fucking my true mate. That's low, even for you. I started laughing, really laughing. Are you serious right now? You think I hate you because you fell in love? No, Amelia, I hate you because you chose to sleep with my mate, knowing exactly what that would do to me. You knew the pain I'd suffer from his rejection. And I heard you that night, laughing, yelling, "Take that, Aurora," like it was a game. That wasn't love. That was cruelty. That was vindictive. And it showed everyone the kind of bully you've become. Your parents knew. They condone it. If it hadn't been for my brother and Luna Bridget, I wouldn't have survived that, and all of you knew it. That's why I hate you, because what you did was heartless, soulless. One day you'll answer to the moon goddess for your cruelty. I turned away, calling Isla forward. With a nod, she summoned Axel. Axel, I said gently, forgive your human. I couldn't bear to see you waste away because of his choices. Find your strength again. Reclaim your pride. Your pack needs you. Be the alpha I know you are. Show your human that you are more than this. I'm sorry for your pain. You're a remarkable wolf, and you deserve better. I hugged Caleb, looked back at Amelia, and she said, Go near my mate again, and I will end you. I laughed and asked, Which one?
Chapter 12. When can we do it again? Draco's point of view. The monotony of the past 2 weeks is getting to me. We have been unsuccessful in locating either Johnston or Michelson. Aurora ran a check on Johnston's practical license, and it's still valid, only in Alaska. She believes he is still in Alaska, just has no active cases as of right now. My phone rang, and I immediately answered. A female voice asked, Draco, can we talk? I had a sinking feeling in my gut. I linked Aurora to please grab Adrian and get to my office. I asked, Who is this? Who gave you leave to use my given name? This is Alpha Arconium. State your business. As I put the call on speaker, Adrian came in, followed by Aurora. The voice giggles, making me want to gag, and she says, You know who this is, silly. It's your mate. Again, gag. I replied, You're most definitely delusional. I am waiting for my mate, and it's definitely not you. She whines, Don't be like that. I made a teensy mistake, but I'm ready to forget about it. I look at Aurora, and she puts her finger over her lips. Grabbing Adrian's phone, she sets it to record, then calls Caleb. After she texted him not to talk. I said, Oh, is this Amelia? She giggles and says, Of course, silly. Who else would be your mate? And I replied, Anyone. But you. I rejected you. You aren't worthy of being my mate. Why are you calling me, anyway? And how did you get my number? She whined again. I have decided to forgive you and accept you. This isn't where I belong. I laughed and told her, Nope. You are exactly where you belong. Where is Anderson? Put your mate on the phone. I want to talk to him. She snarls. Anderson is Aurora's mate. All I hear is how he should have accepted Aurora. Why am I not more like Aurora? Why am I a bimbo? Why do I act like this? Why can't I be a lady like Aurora? Aurora, Aurora, Aurora. Everyone wonders why we all hate Aurora. Well, that's why. I am trying not to laugh. What's why? You didn't give a single reason why anyone would dislike Aurora. Are you drunk? Now Aurora is trying not to laugh. Amelia snaps, No, asshole, I'm not drunk. I called you to let you know I'm coming to your pack. You are my mate, and we are going to do exactly as the goddess said. We are mating. Before I threatened her life, because I will definitely kill her if she ever shows up on my territory. I hear Anderson in the background. What are you doing, Leah? Who the fuck are you talking to? And she lied. Literally lied. It's Draco. He called and I answered your phone on accident. He wants to talk to you. Now I really am laughing. Anderson asked, Draco, how can I help you? I responded angrily, I didn't call you Anderson. That bitch called me, and I am only saying this once. If she shows up in my territory, if she dares approach my gates, her life is forfeit. She will die here. Keep your trash home. I hung up, as I hear Aurora say, "Good thinking, Bubba. Hold on, I'm texting you the recording of the call." She took Adrian's phone and texted the recording. Caleb said, "I love you. Peanut, I gotta run damage control. Call you later." Aurora said bye and looked at me, her eyes sparkling with mirth. How do you accidentally answer a phone? Is that like accidentally fucking someone's mate? We all cracked up. This girl. After lunch, I asked Aurora if she wanted to run, and she blushed and said, "I have been wondering if I could maybe meet Donna. I have been imagining riding him." And she blushed deeper. I mean, on his back when he flies, not ride. Ride him. I chuckled. She is just too frickin' cute. I whispered, "Are you having naughty thoughts, sweet cheeks? Because, I gotta tell ya, I've been imagining you riding me, and I'm not shy about it." She slammed her head down on the table and bounced it a couple times, saying, "Damn it, now I got a dirty movie playing in my head," making me laugh out loud. I said, "Dress warm, it's colder in the sky." She slipped on her snow boots and her parka. I grabbed her hand and led her to the only open field we had large enough to hold our shifted dragons. I stripped and called Donna forth. He burst forth in a shimmer of incandescent scales that glimmered in the waning sunlight. He shook his enormous body as he stretched to his entire length. Aurora walked straight up to him, no hesitation or fear in her posture, and scratched his forehead between his eyes. She whispered, "You're magnificent, as handsome as Asmodeus, such a stately king," and she curtsied. Damn, this girl is doing something to me. Donna purred into her hands and nudged her tummy. She giggled and rubbed his head again. I linked her to climb on, while he dropped his wing for her to use as a step. She climbed up and settled between his shoulder blades, just behind his massive neck. I told her to hold on to his horns, and as she did, he leaped into the air and soared towards the sky. Aurora squealed, then she giggled, holding tight. We circled pack territory for an hour. Then he took off for the mountains that overlooked the pack house. She giggled again, then laughed out loud. Donna took her to the peak and landed. She climbed down and flung her tiny arms around his huge neck. She whispered, "Best adventure of my life, Donna. Thank you, thank you, thank you." She pulled back and kissed him all over his massive face, and he pulled her into his neck with his head, holding her to him. Yep, the dragon is in love. She climbed back on, and we descended back to the clearing. Once I was dressed, she flung herself into my arms, little tears in her eyes. She whispered, "This will always be one of my favorite memories. My imagination could never imagine something so fantastically magnificent. Thank you, Draco." I held her tightly and said, "It was our greatest honor. Donna has never let anyone ride his back before, yet he's already asking when we can do it again."
Chapter 13. Finally, I can move forward. Aurora's point of view. I have nearly completed my documentation to file the lawsuits against Michelson. It's taken 2 months of hard work and long hours. I want to take this down. Draco has been an absolute wonder, helping organize depositions, arranging testimony. I keep telling him it's my job, and he keeps telling me the sooner we file, the sooner we can save the dragons. I have been on pins and needles this last week. It's been nearly 6 months since Draco rejected Amelia. She's been calling him at ungodly hours nearly every day. Anderson finally locked her up 3 days ago. Isla is running nearly every day. She's antsy and anxious. I'm annoyed with her because I have to struggle to concentrate. I think she's secretly smoking crack. I don't sleep. She paces in my head all night. She carries on conversations with Asmodeus at all hours. I keep reminding her, Draco may not be our second chance, trying to prepare her if he isn't. She doesn't care. I get it. I do. I know I have fallen in love with him, but I would never stand in the way of his second chance. I will even help him find her, if it isn't us. But Isla is having none of it. I walk into my office and call Connie in. She's smiling and asks what I need. I tell her I need you to type up our proposal for filing charges against Michelson, to be ready to email to the council in the morning. Her grin widens. My day just got a whole lot better. And went off to handle that. Culver knocks on my door, and I smile. What can I do for you, Culver? He grins. I was wondering if you wanted to spar with me? I've noticed your need to burn energy and thought it might help. I squeal and jump up. Let me change real quick and I'll meet you in the gym. Racing up the stairs, I round a corner and bump straight into a wall. Landed on my ass. That hurt. I stand up, rubbing my butt, and turn to walk more sedately to my room. When I hear a deep, rumbling chuckle, I whip around and Draco is standing there. And my intelligent ass says, I thought you were a wall. He busted out laughing. Nope, last I checked. All man. I nodded and mumbled out an I'm sorry. Then thought, and what a man. He's still laughing and said, think out loud much? Oh, kill me now. Damn it. I ran for my room. I met Culver in the gym, and we sparred for over an hour. I was sitting on the bench, leaned back and sipping water. Draco came in with Adrian and started sparring. The man was sheer poetry in motion. What is wrong with me? He must have felt eyes on him because he glanced in my direction, which was enough for Adrian to clock him a good one. He asked, distracted, Alpha? And he laughed, and without taking his eyes off me, he punched Adrian in the nose. Ow! Fuck! Draco laughed again. Not that distracted, Beta. I laughed at them both. You guys are too much. See you later. Time for my shower. I walk out, hearing, thanks for the visual. Fuck. I had just slicked on jeans and a t-shirt that said, only trust people who like big butts. They cannot lie. And went down to dinner. Everyone started laughing, and Naomi said, Goddess damn it, now it's stuck in my head, making all of us laugh again. I sat down beside her and asked, Girls' night? I need some me and you time. She nods and says, Netflix and chill? I shook my head. Ew, no, you're not my type for chillin', bitch. She laughed and said, Fine, Netflix and wine? Nodding, I said, Bet. She came in my room with 2 big bottles of wine and climbed into my bed. Okay, spill, what's going on? I poured us each a good-sized glass and sat down beside her. I'm in love with Draco. She snorts. Duh, everyone knows that. We also know he's in love with you. What's the prob, Bob? I moaned. What if he isn't my second chance mate? I'd have to leave. I won't take that away from whoever the lucky girl is. It was done to me and I was devastated. I won't do that to someone else. She hugged me close. Oh, honey, you are too good for this planet. Let's get drunk and forget for a while. Sounds like a plan to me. 2 hours later, found us creeping downstairs to get more wine. I said, Shh, we're gonna get caught. It's your fault we ran out. She giggled. No, that would be you. I only drank 3 glasses. I shook my head and said, Yeah, me too. She disagreed and said I had 6. 6? Psh, why wouldn't I remember that? A deep voice behind us said, Are you ladies sneaking into the wine fridge? I snapped. Shh, Draco will hear you. And Naomi busted out laughing. Great, we are for sure getting caught now. She pointed over my shoulders and said, He already did. I turn around and sure enough, there, that big guy stood. I said, Naomi drank all the wine. She said, Damn, did y'all see that bus? And we both cracked up laughing. This morning, at breakfast, I am miserable. I've taken headache medicine, drank 3 glasses of water. Culver asked, Rough night? I tried to nod, but stopped, in fear of my head rolling off my shoulders and ending up in someone's plate. Draco tells him, Aurora had 1 glass of wine too many, it seems. Naomi laughed and told everyone, More like 3 too many, but who's counting? I snarked, Apparently, you, causing them all to laugh again. By noon, I was feeling better and had sent the email to council. They wanted to see me before they proceeded. I went to find Draco to let him know I was headed to council. He asked who I was taking with me, and I agreed to take Culver with us. And my team, along with Culver, left within the hour. Once in chambers, I handed them copies of the testimonials from the victims, whom they kept referring to as witnesses. Set them straight on that right away. Councilman Thompson was a stickler, and so old school he had to walk uphill both ways to attend, had a grudge against me. Women weren't supposed to be in a courtroom, and I should leave all this for the men to handle. He's going to be an issue. He asked. This matter is more of an internal one. The Dragon King should be handling this in-house. I looked at him for a hard minute. King Arconium was not king at the time of these crimes. The former king was aware, but chose to sweep the issues under the rug. We have chosen to expose this form of torture, as discipline, for the world to see. It is no longer allowed, as the new king has completely outlawed this practice. This case was first brought to the council's attention nearly a year ago. But since the court summons was considered undeliverable, the complaint was ignored, much like the former king had done. As a newly formed council, the situation should have been pursued, not forgotten. As soon as a court date has been established, a blanket notice will go out to all existing weir so that Michelson has the opportunity to respond. I stood to leave and was told to be back in the morning, and a decision will have been made. Finally, I can move forward.
Chapter 14. Culver already did. Draco's point of view. Adrian and I have been scouting the mountains to the east of our pack. A tip came in about Johnston, supposedly living in a cabin outside a little hamlet buried between two peaks. Once we had found the cabin, it was empty, only by a couple days, meaning whoever was staying here knew we were coming. We believe we may have a traitor in our midst. I am irate and will find out who it is. We have been out in the wilderness for 3 days, completely incommunicado, and the frustration I am experiencing right now is through the roof. I shifted into Dono, carrying Adrian on my back, just not in the mood to run home on all fours. We reached home in the early morning hours, and I was so exhausted I barely made it through a shower before I passed out. I slept until well past 10 and felt hungover. I had just slipped into jeans and a sweatshirt when Adrian linked me to come downstairs. I could hear yelling and then a slap. I rushed forward to find Chancey Griffin and John Kane standing in my foyer. But I also found a scent of gardenia and spring honey. She turned to face me, her eyes full of tears, and a red handprint on her cheek. Donna and Asmodeus pushed forward, and I roared, rushing to Aurora and pulling her into my arms. "Who dare lay hands on my mate?" John Kane growled. "Your mate? I don't think so. She is returning to Sacred Moon and taking her place as Luna." I punched him square in the jaw. I snarled, "Listen to me. Listen carefully and hear me well. Aurora and I are second chance mates. A moment ruined by you assholes. You have your Luna. If you are dissatisfied now, that is on you. Leave my pack. Do not return. The only member of Sacred Moon welcome here is my mate's only family member. Only her brother will have contact with her. If I ever see either of you, or your daughter, your only child, again, I will not hesitate to kill you all. Which one of you lay hands on her?" I touched her cheek. Neither man answered. I asked gently, "Who, baby?" She whispered, "John." I snarled, "Which hand did you hit her with?" He chose not to respond, so I grabbed him and snapped first his right wrist, then his left. I looked at Adrian and said, "Throw out the trash," and lifted Aurora in my arms, bringing her to my office. I sat down with her in my lap. I quietly asked, "What happened?" She smirks. I honestly have no idea. I had just walked out from my office and John grabbed me, pulling me toward the door. He said I was coming home, and I informed him I was home. He slapped me. Then my superhero rescued me. She smiled up at me so beautifully and whispered, "We're mates." My prayers were answered. My wish came true. I love you so much. I was terrified I would have to leave you. I leaned down and touched my lips to hers, and knew in that moment everything in my life had led me to her, right here, and I thanked the goddess a million times. We ended the kiss, and I said, "I am so in love with you. I was prepared to ask you to choose me, to love me. I didn't care about a second chance. I didn't want one if it wasn't you. I, Alpha Draco Arconium, King of Dragons, accept you, Aurora Rose Heartsong, as my mate, my Luna, and my queen." She smiled back at me and repeated her acceptance. When our bond snapped into place, it stole my breath at the strength of it. She felt it too, because her tiny body shook with the force of it. I said, "We're mates? Goddess baby, you have made me the happiest man on earth." Adrian knocked and walked right in. We both looked at him with what I am certain was the silliest grins ever. He laughed. "Well, hello, Luna." She blushed adorably. Culver crashed through the door and yelled, "Gamma has his Luna," grabbed her off my lap and danced around the room with her giggling, and I fell in love again. He handed her back and sat down. I looked at Adrian and asked, "How did those assholes get in?" He was already shaking his head. "Dude, I have no idea. I was alerted to an alpha at the border requesting an audience, so I went down to head out there, but an Omega had already let them in the house." I looked at Culver to speak, and he said, "Both border guards are on their way in to see you. I immediately sent out replacements so they could get in here. The Omega is in the hall awaiting interview." I nodded and said, "Let her in." Adrian offered her a seat, and I said, "Alice, is it?" At her nod, I continued, "Why were those men allowed entry?" She gasped, "I would never, Alpha. We heard the door knocker, and Cook told me to get the door because she's expecting a delivery. I just figured it was a new driver, and he wasn't told to go around back. As soon as I opened it, they pushed past me and started yelling for Miss Aurora. I didn't even have time to get out of the way." I dismissed her. Poor girl was scared to death. I asked Aurora to call her brother, and she did. As soon as he answered, I asked, "Caleb, what the fuck is going on over there?" He asked me what I meant, so I told him what had happened. He growled, "Are you shitting me? I was told they had both gone to arrange an alliance over at Black Hills." Aurora said, "Did Anderson know what those assholes were up to? Isn't he still mated to Amelia?" "I don't understand." Caleb responded, "He and Amelia are on a second honeymoon to straighten out their bullshit. They left this morning. He never said a word to me about his dad. I could ask Bridget, but I doubt she knows anything, and Allison wouldn't tell me shit anyway." I told him, "I broke both of John's wrists and threw them out. Sacred Moon is no longer a concern of ours. You are the only one welcome here, and that will be in 2 weeks for your sister's Luna ceremony and coronation." The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. Then he said, "Wait, are you, your mates? Second chance mates?" We told him yes, and he started laughing. He said, "Karma, I am in love with that bitch. Oh my goddess, this is pure gold." We hung up, and Aurora left to find Naomi and Connie to get started on a plan for her ceremony. I am so excited and happy I want to dance a jig. Culver already did.
Chapter 15. I was now a queen. Aurora's point of view. Everything was in place for the ceremony to make me Luna. And to say I was excited would be an understatement. My dress was a simple ivory satin with a fitted bodice, a sweetheart neckline, and cap sleeves. It had a slit from the floor up to the top of my thigh. Connie did my hair, pulling it into a Viking-style updo. She created 6 thick French braids at the sides and top, twisted into a single braid that resembled a dragon's tail. I wore no jewelry, and my feet were bare. Caleb had arrived the night before and was waiting to walk me down the aisle. I smiled and said, "Did they give you a difficult time when you asked to come?" He laughed. "Oh, sure. But I didn't ask them. I told them I was coming. Amelia did the whole meltdown thing, accusing me of betraying the family and the pack." I laughed as I walked out the door. I sighed and said, "You know, I don't hate them anymore. Actually, I pity them. They will never know the joy of grandchildren from us. I can only pray this has taught Amelia some kind of family values. I doubt it, but I always pray for them." Caleb groaned. "Enough. Just enough, Peanut. Don't spare another thought for people who mistreated you so badly. This is your day, and I want to see nothing but smiles on that beautiful face. Besides, there's a surprise waiting for you downstairs, so let's head that way." We walked out, and I took his elbow as he led the way. At the foot of the stairs, I saw Luna Bridget. She was smiling, with tears in her eyes. I hurried to her, and she folded me into her arms, whispering, "You look beautiful. I have missed you so much. In my heart, you will always be my daughter. I couldn't miss your big day." I smiled and said, "I am so happy you're here. I miss you every day." I turned to take Caleb's arm, only to find him staring at the double doors. Naomi stood frozen, staring back. I hear them both whisper, "Mate," and I squeaked in happiness, "Oh my goddess! My two favorite people in the world, besides Draco." He hurried to her and yanked her into his arms. He told her, "I have waited for you so long." I hugged them both, telling them how happy I am. Then I asked, "Shall we hold your ceremony today? You both are already beautiful. The matriarch of Sacred Moon is in attendance as witness, and I certainly don't mind. I would be thrilled." Caleb dropped to one knee and said, "Naomi," and I linked her last name to him. He cleared his throat. "Naomi Watson, head warrior of Draconium, will you do me the honor of being my mate, for now and always?" She smiled and replied, "I absolutely will accept you, Caleb Heartsong. It is my deepest honor." I had linked Draco to tell him the news, and he was excited. As soon as the doors opened, and I saw my magnificent man on the stage in the ballroom, every coherent thought I'd had fled my brain. Caleb walked me down the aisle. Naomi had walked in front of me as my mate's maid, and she was practically bouncing on her feet now. Waiting for Caleb to get there, our pack elder performed our mating ceremony, and I spoke my vows. We clasped bloodied palms together and marked each other. I felt the connection to our people deep in my soul. The bond before now was a simple connection, unlike now. Now, an invisible tether attached each pack member to my heart. Draco performed Caleb's and Naomi's mating ceremony, then looked out over our pack. The coronation will happen in 2 hours. For now, we feast. And everyone adjourned to the dining hall. Caleb and Naomi were noticeably absent, and Draco chuckled, "That's going to be us in a few hours. I plan on sequestering you for a few days. I have waited a lifetime for you. For this. For us. I will not rush a single second." I raced upstairs to change into my coronation gown. It was deep purple with gold embroidery, the colors of the kingdom. This ceremony had me even more nervous, as it was televised for the world to see. The kings and queens of other species were going to be in attendance. This dress had a square neckline with long bell sleeves, a full flared skirt that required a hoop slit, and a shoulder train that trailed behind me for close to 6 feet. Apparently, becoming queen is all about the pomp and circumstance. This time, when Caleb appeared to escort me, he was dressed in a black tuxedo, a purple bow tie, and a royal sash from his left shoulder to his right hip. I grinned. My, don't you look dashing, Bubba? He laughed. Yeah, calling me Bubba makes me feel dashing. The ballroom had been transformed. The royal colors abounded, and a deep purple aisle runner paved our path. The flowers had been altered to include violet orchids amid the gardenias. And the windows were draped in gold and purple. Draco stood atop the dais, in front of two thrones, carved and cast from solid marble and gold, with deep purple tufted seats and backs. He wore the traditional uniform of the king, a deep purple tuxedo jacket that matched my dress, gold epaulets, black slacks, and a gold sash emblazoned with the symbol of the Dragon King. Atop his head sat a massive crown, gold, encrusted with amethysts and diamonds. A more handsome man has never existed. When I stood before him, he spoke in a deeper voice than I had ever heard from him before, and I knew it was my Donna, the King of Dragons. Will you, Aurora Rose Heartsong Arconium, solemnly promise and swear to govern and nurture the peoples of the Draconium Empire according to the respective laws and customs of our realm, to uphold, protect, and defend all dragons within our realm? I knelt in front of him, and in a clear, concise voice, I responded, I do solemnly swear to the utmost of my power, love, protect, and defend my peoples from all harm, both foreign and domestic. I will maintain and preserve inviolably the doctrines and edicts of worship, discipline, and government thereof, as instructed by our most sovereign goddess, Selene, Mother of the Moon. He placed a heavy crown on my head and lifted me from my knees, turning to the crowd. For the first time ever, I give you Queen Aurora Arconium, our blessed and true Queen of Dragons. He pulled me in close and whispered, I am so sorry, my dearest love. This one is going to hurt. As he sank Donna's saber teeth into the opposite side of my neck, Asmodeus on my left. And damn me, he was right. The pain went deep. It felt as if my blood was on fire, and I could feel my skin burning, radiating outward across my chest and down my upper arm to the back of my shoulder. He pulled back, smiling at me, and kissed me. He said, Donna is most pleased. No other queen has ever had such an intricate mark. The burning I had felt was from his venom, tattooing my skin with the mark of the dragon. I was now a queen.
Chapter 16. The Bully Being Bullied. Caleb's Point of View. Arriving home, John rushed toward Bridget, and my mate instinctively stepped in front of her to protect her. John demanded, Out of my way, woman. Naomi, not intimidated at all, stated, No, as long as you pose a threat, I will remain. He screeched, Who the fuck do you think you are? She smiled benignly and stated succinctly, I am the beta female of Sacred Moon. I will protect the Luna Mother from any and all threats. And my chest swelled with pride. John said, I am her mate. Again, Naomi smiled and told him, And you pose a threat. I apologize if you are feeling butthurt. I will not apologize for doing my job. Bridget laughed and said, It's fine, Naomi. I will take it from here. She walked away, laughing louder, with John following after, yelling and berating her. I swung Naomi in a circle and laughed. Oh my love, this is going to be fun. We walked into Anderson's office. I introduced Naomi to him and Amelia. Naomi had promised Rory to be on her best behavior and to try to get along with Amelia. She sat down across from Amelia and smiled. You really do look so much like Aurora. And, in true Amelia fashion, she snapped, She looks like me. I am the oldest. Naomi maintains her smile and says, Yes, you certainly are, Luna. By a whole minute and 37 seconds. I am well versed on your family history and dynamic. Amelia screamed, Oh, I'm sure you are. And all the negativity Aurora spouts. I can't help, she's just a spiteful bitch. Naomi took a deep breath and responded, Actually, I haven't ever heard anything negative about you. The queen has only said she feels sorry for you and prays for your happiness. I didn't mean to convey your birth was in any way a negative thing. Amelia stormed out saying, I will never accept this interloper as my beta. Caleb, you will get rid of it. I laughed and said, Naomi, now my love, you have been introduced to the real Amelia, all her true colors blazing. I turned to Anderson. And you, Anderson, will you demand I get rid of my goddess-given mate as well? He groaned. Must you, Caleb? Of course I would not ask such a thing. We will, however, have to figure a way for your mate to work with Amelia. I sneered. Naomi. My mate's name is Naomi, and she has to figure out nothing. She is a beta-born she-wolf with all the training that title ensures. Amelia will be the one to find a way to work with her. I will not expose my mate to her poisonous vitriol on a daily basis. Get your mate in line, Anderson. I lifted my beautiful mate and said, Time to get you to myself. Gorgeous. Let them sort themselves out. I couldn't care less. She giggled and said, I think that went well. Don't you? Making me laugh. At dinner, I introduced Naomi to the pack, and she grinned. I look forward to getting to know each of you. Feel free to come to me with any questions, anything I can help you with, and took her seat to my right, at the head of our table with Anderson and Amelia. Amelia snarls, I told you to get rid of it, Caleb. I smile at her, shaking me head. Poor Amelia. If you knew anything whatsoever about true goddess-given mates, you would understand. Once we accepted each other, it made it virtually impossible for us to tolerate rejection. It would kill one or both of us. I fear that far exceeds your level of intelligence, however. She screeched, She is my sworn enemy, the best friend of your ungrateful sister. I will not tolerate her presence in my home. I roared, My sister is the most grateful, thankful person I have ever known. She is kind, thoughtful, forgiving, and loving. All the qualities you lack, she was blessed with tenfold. I will not have this argument play on repeat. And Anderson, take your mate in hand, or start looking for another beta. I am done with her greedy selfishness, the heartlessness she displays to everyone in this pack. I had hoped, no, prayed she would outgrow this ridiculous sense of self-entitlement. She is selfish, spineless, spiteful, and vindictive. If her hatefulness toward my mate continues, I will not prevent Naomi from beating her ass, right before I walk away from Sacred Moon forever, and the Griffin legacy of Beta will die. We were walking to our room when Amelia stepped in front of Naomi and asked, How's it feel to know you're not wanted here? Naomi laughed and sarcastically replied, Oh, I'm not only wanted here, I'm needed here. But do tell me, Luna, how's it feel to be the most hated person in the pack? I laughed all the way to our room. Priceless. My mate won't take any shit from Amelia, and maybe that's exactly what she needs. The bully finally being bullied.
Chapter 17. Who would have fought? Third-person point of view. Draco and Aurora arrived at their honeymoon chalet on a secluded mountainside 100 miles east of Sitka. He carried her over the threshold and seated her in front of the warm fireplace while he retrieved their luggage. He walked over and told her, Why don't you freshen up? I'll fix us some snacks. Would you like a drink? She hummed and suggested something warm, then ran up the stairs. She opened her suitcase and removed the black peignoir set she had secretly bought for this special night. After a quick shower, she slipped the sheer lace gown on and overlaid it with the silk robe. She brushed her waist-length silver hair and left it loose. Walking barefoot down the staircase, she paused 3 steps from the bottom as Draco turned to greet her. His eyes raked her entire visage from head to toe and back again. then met hers. I am such a lucky man. My love, you are breathtaking, so much more than my imagination allowed. I love you so much, my moon. He lifted her, carrying her to a bed he had made in front of the fireplace. After divesting himself of his clothing, he laid beside her, pulling a warm, fur-lined duvet over them both. Slowly, he began kissing her, his hands and lips roaming every inch of her body, bringing her to completion with his mouth and hands, ensuring she was fully prepared for his penetration. She was a moaning, gasping mess when he aligned himself at her entrance. He whispered, "Are you ready, love? I know it will hurt, and I hate that for you." She smiled at him through her haze and nodded, saying, "I've been ready. I've imagined this night, dreamed of it for a long time. The pain is nothing compared to the pleasure you bring me." He came to her slowly, reverently, giving her the time it needed to welcome him fully. When he met resistance, he paused, kissed her gently, and whispered, "I'm sorry, my love." She nodded, encouraging him with soft words and a brave smile. As they moved together, their rhythm gradually aligned, each moment deepening their connection. She held him close, whispering his name as waves of emotions swept through her. He followed, breathless and overwhelmed by the intensity of their bond. For 3 days, they stayed wrapped in each other's arms, sharing quiet touches, whispered promises, and laughter. On their last night, they sat together in the warm waters of the hot tub, snowflakes falling around them, content and completely at peace in their love. Aurora sighs. "Are you sure we can't stay here forever? It has been such an idyllic and beautiful 3 days. I find I don't want to give it up." He grins and tells her, "I vow to you, my solemn promise, we will return here every year on our anniversary for 3 days and relive our moments together." She smiled at him. "I can get on board with that. It will give me something to always look forward to." The next morning, as they headed home, Draco asked, "Is the blanket notice ready to be emailed?" Aurora nodded. "I finished drafting it the day before our ceremonies. It was scheduled to go out about an hour ago." She checked her watch and pulled up her email on her phone. "Right on time. By the time we get home, I should have responses from the alphas. Hopefully, one of them has contact information for Michelson. Things are going to get messy from here on out. My case is rock solid, though. I've got all the testimonies aligned, and I submitted depositions to the council." She rolled her eyes. "They were all on board, except Old Man Thompson. He's got it in for me, mostly because I'm a she-wolf, but also because I don't tolerate his misogynistic bullshit." Draco laughed. "That's my girl. Have I told you how proud I am of you? All 7 lawsuits we were facing, I was starting to lose hope, but you kept pulling rabbits out of hats at every turn. Having our territory surveyed by council-approved surveyors was absolute genius. I love you, baby, more than I can ever put into words." Aurora smiled and replied, "You make me proud every day. You lead our people with a kind, firm hand, treating everyone equally and caring enough to help each one through their struggles. They're lucky to have such a fair and just leader. But me? I'm more than lucky. I'm blessed. I love you more every single day." They arrived home and Culver ran to Aurora. "Thank goddess you're back. Adrian has been a pain in my ass. The paperwork, Luna. The paperwork I've been forced to complete. I have writer's cramp, carpal tunnel, tennis elbow. He is a vicious torturer of the highest caliber. Make him stop now. I need a vacation." Draco burst out laughing. "What the fuck, Culver? Paperwork is your responsibility. There couldn't have been that much. When did you become such a drama queen?" Culver shrugged. "Gamma's job is to protect his Luna. You took my job away for 3 days, Draco. 3 whole days, and Adrian made me do the work of 2 men. Adrian walked up, shaking his head. Thank goddess you're home. This wine-ass hasn't shut his pie hole since you left. I need a vacation. Aurora laughed. The 2 of you are more alike than you realize. Now, straighten up, or Draco and I are leaving again. At dinner, Aurora asked Connie if she had heard from Naomi, and Connie replied, "Oh goddess, Luna, that woman nearly caused my Naomi to beat her to death. It's calmer there today, though. The Alpha finally sent Amelia to Luna Academy for 3 months." Aurora sputtered. "What? They're only just now sending her? Oh, that's funny. I hope it helps her, but I fear she's too set in her ways for classes to make a difference. I pray I'm wrong." Draco led Aurora to her seat and prepared her plate, forked a bite of pasta and fed it to her, allowing everyone else to begin their meal. She whispered, "I'm not entirely comfortable with this particular tradition. It makes me feel entitled, and it's not a nice feeling." He grinned and kissed her temple. "I'm totally comfortable with it. It makes me feel like I'm taking care of my mate. Please indulge me in this one thing." She smiled and told him, "My big, bad Dragon King is a big softy. Who would have thought?"
Chapter 18, Wish I Had Some Popcorn. Aurora's Point of View. It's been 3 weeks since the notification went out to all the Were Alphas. Of the 20 emails I sent, only 13 had responded, and all denied having any contact with Michelson. The trial is due to commence in the morning, and I was only informed today of the Council's decision to appoint legal representation for him. I was notified that I had to turn over all evidence to one Squire Reynolds for review in the interest of full disclosure. I am beyond pissed, not because he has representation, he's entitled to it, but because the Council deliberately dragged their heels in appointing someone. I'm certain Councilman Thompson is behind the delay, but my hands are tied. Connie, Albert, and I scrambled to get everything together, but we did it. Full disclosure, as ordered. Didn't make me any less pissed. Draco and I walked into the hearing chambers 20 minutes ahead of schedule, so I could set everything up. Connie sat beside me, while all 5 victims sat in the back with Draco. An elderly man walked in and introduced himself as Reynolds, apologizing for the late evidentiary requests. He explained he'd only been informed of his appointment the day before. I couldn't help but wonder what the Council was really up to with this tactic. Delaying his representation until the 11th hour seemed too calculated to be coincidence. Once the Council was seated, we were asked to give opening statements. As the plaintiffs, I was to begin. I stood and walked to the front of the room, surprised to see a full house. Everywhere Alpha and Beta was in attendance. Curiouser and curiouser, I began. Esteemed Council, I intend to prove crimes against humanity, perpetrated over a period of many years, long after such practices were outlawed. Alpha Ernest Michelson of Lightningware deliberately and blatantly ignored the law and disregarded the edict that all disciplinary torture was to cease. Charges were filed by this very council over a year ago, but before Michelson could be served notice, he was clearly warned and absconded. Searches for him have proven futile. Therefore, I move he be tried in absentia. I sat down, prepared for Reynolds to stand in rebuttal, but before he could speak, a sudden ruckus exploded outside the doors. A man burst in, breathless and firm. "Councilman, I am Squire Andrew Johnston, legal representative of Alpha Ernest Michelson, and I request a continuance of this trial until such a time as agreed upon by the courts. I have had no opportunity to review the evidence or depose the witnesses." Squire Johnston hesitated before answering. "My client has every intention of appearing, Your Honors. I have been assured he is en route and will be present for the rescheduled hearing." His voice was steady, but there was a faint edge of uncertainty. I didn't back down. "Then let it be entered into the record. If Alpha Michelson fails to appear in person by 9 a.m. on the day of reconvening, the trial will proceed in absentia, and no further continuances will be accepted." This case has already suffered from delay and evasion. The victims deserve justice. Councilman Andrews nodded and glanced down at his notes. Agreed, it is so ordered. The court will reconvene in 10 days. Alpha Michelson is expected to appear in person. Failure to do so will result in the trial proceeding without him. Thompson didn't even try to hide his scowl. I turned to Draco and mind-linked. They're stalling for something. Keep your eyes on Johnston and Thompson. I stood immediately. I object. It has been 21 days since the blanket notice was filed. The allotted time for answering response is 20 days. And Alpha Michelson couldn't be reached. Where is he now? Why has he not appeared before you? He has court-appointed counsel ready to move on this hearing. Reynolds cleared his throat and said, In actuality, I was about to request a continuance as well. I haven't had enough time to wade through the evidence yet, either. I noticed a smirk on Thompson's face, and all the pieces started falling into place. I mind-linked Draco and told him to watch Thompson. He gave an imperceptible nod. Councilman Andrews said, At this new development, a continuance will be granted for a period of 10 days. This court will reconvene on that date at 9 a.m. I stood again. With all due respect, Councilman, will Squire Johnston produce his client in person on that date, or do we proceed in absentia? And Thompson said, Squire Hartsong, don't put the cart before the horse. I'm afraid we are in a wait-and-see situation, as it stands. Draco stood to his feet and said, My mate is more polite than I am. Michelson will appear, or I will remove your authority in this case by invoking the rights of species monarchy. And I will try him in the courts of my kingdom. Are we understood, gentlemen? All of them responded with, Yes, King Arconium. And we left the courtroom. I thought I was pissed. Nope. My mate was literally breathing out smoke, which let everyone know Donna was breathing fire. They all knew they were about to screw up, big time. We went to have lunch at the diner next to the Capitol building. I was rubbing Draco's back to calm him down when a shadow crossed our table. Looking up, I internally groaned. Amelia sneered. I see you just had to have my mate. Had to get back at me, like you always do. You really are pathetic. You know? Point. I smiled and said, Luna, lessons are going well, I see. And just so you know, that was what is known as sarcasm. I didn't have to have anything. I actually rejected your mate 3 years ago. My mate was blessed to me by the goddess after the 6-month repression of his former bond had expired. Her nasally voice was already grating on me, as she said, You've always been jealous of me. Everyone treats me better, knows I'm prettier. Every man I meet wants me, and you hated that, so you did the one thing you knew would get back at me. You took what is mine. She reached to touch Draco. He jerked his arm away and snarled, Do not touch me. You have got to be the most shameless woman I've ever met. Aurora is leagues above you in every way. She waited for her mate. She's the most genuine, pure-hearted woman I've ever known, in mind, body, and soul. I doubt you could say the same. I can smell at least 4 different men on you right now. Your poor mate sent you here to learn how to be a Luna. Not even an exceptional one, just one with basic decency, and you're clearly not taking that seriously. I'll be informing your Alpha exactly how you've been spending your time here. Now leave before you ruin our meal. She turned and ran from the diner, while the entire place erupted with laughter. I'm floored. I mean, I knew what she was up to, but wow. My guy really put her in her place. He leaned over, breathing in my scent, and I could feel him calming down. She almost touched me, he muttered. I was afraid my arm would fall off. That's what broke me. I laughed so hard I snorted. We enjoyed our burgers and fries, then sent our people home on the plane. I had to stay for an appointment tomorrow with Johnston, and Draco wanted to talk to him anyway. Back in our suite, I took a shower and slipped into some comfy sweats. When I came out of the bedroom, Draco was just getting off the phone. I called Adrian to let him know about today's fiasco, he said. Then I spoke to Caleb and Anderson. They're driving up and should be here in an hour or so. Amelia's parents are being dragged along too. Should make for an interesting evening. I grinned and hugged him, just going to sit back and enjoy the fireworks. I do feel a little bad for Anderson. But comme ci, comme ça. Que sera, sera. Wish I had some popcorn.
Chapter 19. Put it on my tab. Draco's point of view. It was a little over an hour before I heard a knock at the door. I opened it with a finger to my lips and whispered to Naomi that Aurora was napping. I gave Caleb a man-hug and shook hands with the others. I poured the four of us guys a Jameson, a large one for Anderson, and offered one to Allison, who just screwed up her nose at me. A thoroughly unpleasant woman. I can see where Amelia gets it. Aurora and Naomi joined us, and Aurora climbed into my lap. I whispered, "Did the meds help your migraine?" She shook her head no and snuggled into me. Caleb asked, "She still gets those?" She used to get them so bad sometimes when she was little, I would rock her to sleep. I nodded and said, "We believe them to be stress-related, and today was a cornucopia of stress for her." Allison said, "Why do you lie, Caleb? She never had a sick day in her life. I would know." Caleb snarled at her and said, "How the fuck would you know? Your head was so far up Amelia's ass, you wouldn't have known if Aurora was dying." Aurora said, "Caleb, don't argue. That was the past. There is no changing some things. Just be an Elsa." He laughed and sang, "Let it go. Let it go." She nodded at him. Then she looked at Anderson and spoke softly. "I want to tell you I really am sorry. No one deserves what's happening. My girl, a heart as pure as the driven snow." I said, "I've gotten the room code for the keypad on Amelia's door. If you'd like, we can head over there now." "I'm sorry, Anderson, but surely you had to have known the type of person you mated. A tiger doesn't change their stripes." He nodded, looking miserable. Allison said, "What are you talking about? Amelia has always done her best to be a good girl. She is loving, compassionate. You do not know my daughter." And Draco lost his temper. He snapped, "Hold your tongue, you infernal woman. You know nothing of the woman you praise so highly. I imagine she is how she is as a direct result of what you've taught her, which makes you as bad as she is. Utter one more word out of that mouth. One more word, and I will shut it for you." We all walked quietly, thank goddess, down the corridor to Amelia's suite. I punched in the 5-digit code and pushed the door open. Stepping into the apartment, we could hear the sounds of what we knew was happening. I slowly pushed the bedroom door open, and once we were all inside, I hit the light switch. As bare as the day she was born, the girl was perched on a guy's shoulders, going wild. Her mother was the first to speak up. "Amelia, put some clothes on. What are you doing?" Caleb snickered. "She's riding the baloney pony." "Allison, have you really forgotten?" Allison swung to slap him, but Naomi grabbed her wrist, shaking her head no. Anderson walked out and sat at the table, silent since they arrived. I wouldn't want to be in his shoes, but what happens next is his choice. Caleb came over and said, "Whatever you decide, buddy, I got your back." Chansey and Allison sat on the sofa while Naomi and Aurora stood by the door. I leaned against the kitchen counter as Anderson passed us, head down, and walked straight out the front door. Amelia was taking her time, and I could tell she was trying to figure out how to talk her way out of the mess she'd created. When she finally appeared, she was screaming, storming straight toward Aurora. "You betrayed me. You had to call my partner and tattle, didn't you? You backstabbing pathetic." Before she could finish, Aurora struck her sharply, her voice low and fierce. "Enough. You're a pitiful excuse for a woman. You had a good man, and you ruined him. I wouldn't be surprised if I found his courage hidden away in your bag. Nothing you do is ever enough. You're a curse. Everything and everyone around you pays the price. You destroy everything you touch. Now get up from the floor and beg. Beg like you never have before. And pray, because you're going to need all the forgiveness you can find. Pray your partner finds it in his heart to forgive you, because he should have every reason to walk away. She spun around to Naomi and said, "Come on, sister, I need a serious drink." Then she walked out. Me, I stood there, so full of pride I could barely keep still. Note to self, never anger my Luna. Anderson said firmly, "I want to hear your reasons. When you speak, do so calmly. If you raise your voice, I will stop you. Don't blame anyone else. I won't tolerate it. No excuses or lies. If you try, I'll shut it down. Now, sit down. Caleb, can you pour me a drink? I have to hand it to him." He seemed calm. I'm not sure I could manage that, but to each their own. Caleb poured drinks for everyone, even Allison this time. Amelia sat down across from Anderson. She began, "Andy, it was just once. It was an accident. I didn't mean to." Slap. Anderson interrupted. "What did I just say? It wasn't just once. This isn't the first time, and there's no such thing as an accident when it comes to this. Dumbass." She snarled. "Fine. You don't have sex with me. Once a week? How is that enough? You sent me to that stupid place to learn things I already know. It's boring." Anderson grinned. "You think you already know? I don't believe that. You don't understand how to nurture the pack, how to show compassion, how to offer comfort. What you do know is how to bully, throw tantrums, and spend money we don't have on things we don't need. Because Goddess knows, if Amelia doesn't have the tightest, brightest, shortest, sheerest dress, or the highest heels in every color, with matching handbags, then everyone in the pack pays the price. You belittle them, insult them, punish them, and bully them. So start explaining yourself before I decide to reject and banish you." She whimpered, "Mama, make it stop. You and Daddy know I'm not like that. Please, make him listen like you used to." Shancy said, "All I feel in this moment, Amelia, is shame. This was an eye-opener for me. I have been blind. Listening to you and your mother cost me my other 2 children, and all I feel is shame in myself for allowing it to happen." Allison snaps, "Chancey, you can't turn on your daughter now, not when she needs us most." He said, "Shut up, Allison. She's proven time and again she needs no one. She just wants—" She wanted her sister's mate, so she set out to get him. When she thought her sister was with her true mate, she decided she wanted him. The only 4 people who saw through her bullshit were Bridget, our son and daughter, and her true mate. We have raised her to be the monster she is, and I am ashamed of that, and of her." He stood up and asked me if there was a bar in this place. He felt a good drunk coming on, so I told him where to go and put it on my tab.
Chapter 20. Get this show on the road. Caleb's point of view. I looked at the girl. Her face is the only thing identical to Aurora's. Nothing else. I can't help but wonder where everything went wrong with her. No one is born bad. But, for the life of me, I just don't know. I asked, "Amelia, can you tell me when you started resenting Aurora?" "I remember, the 2 of you were glued at the hip. You used to complete each other's sentences. I never saw one without the other. Then it changed. Why?" She glared at me. "You should remember. The lamp." Allison gasped, and I asked what. Allison said, "You were 7. The girls were 3. The antique lamp got broken. Amelia said her sister did it. When we asked Aurora, she said she didn't. I thought she was lying, and I punished her for lying." I gritted my teeth. "Oh, I remember now. You didn't punish Aurora. You beat her bloody. A 3-year-old, you beat her, then you locked her in her closet. When I told you that Amelia had broken it, and you beat the wrong kid, you slapped me. And I told Amelia that day that she could never count on me for anything. She lied, and you believed her, so you set the pattern. Amelia snarled. Yeah, so I learned that only Mama had my back, that I couldn't count on you, and it was because of Aurora, Draco said. What sort of convoluted way of thinking is that? You lied. You got your sister beaten. Your brother stopped believing in you. All of that was your fault. Aurora has every right to hate you. My goddess, you are this way because you lied? Another thought occurred to me. Oh my goddess, you knew Aurora had a crush on Anderson when she was 15, didn't you? That's why you chased him. You took him away from her, because you are jealous of her. You want to be her. You fucking need some serious therapy. This goes way beyond good twin, bad twin stereotypes. And you, Allison, you need therapy. You groomed Amelia in your image. That's selfishness, the judgmental way you evaluate a perceived opponent. The see what you want and just take it mentality. That's all you. Anderson said, speculation this late in the game is useless. I have made my decision. This is how things will be from now on. Amelia, you will remain my mate. You will be Luna in name only. The actual running of the pack house will fall to my mother and Naomi. You will have 2 female guards on you at all times. There will never be another opportunity for you to cheat on me. I will only fuck you, literally, until I have an heir. If I want to take a mistress, I will. Now, pack your bags. You return tonight. No point in allowing you to stay here. You either can't learn, or you won't. I look at Draco and his eyes are as wide as mine feel. Anderson found his balls, apparently. He looked at me and said she is to move into the Luna's quarters when we get home. And I need Naomi to choose 2 warriors from the she-wolves. Amelia is no longer allowed free range of the pack. She can't be trusted. He turned to Allison and said, if you dare to disrespect me, if you try to circumvent my authority, you will move into one of the cottages at the border. I'm done. I'm tired of mollycoddling the pair of you. I will never walk on eggshells in my own home again. You've accused me of being weak for the last time. I mind-linked Naomi to come back to Amelia's room. The shit just hit the fan. Draco walked over and poured another drink for Anderson and himself, and sat down across from him. He quietly asked, Anderson, make sure you are certain about this. You deserve to be happy. I just don't want to see you regret your decisions. He shook his head. I'm not sure. It's what I got right now. You have no idea how many decisions I have regretted the last 3 years. But I am certain it is time for me to be the alpha my pack needs. The one they deserve. Oh, and Caleb, all Amelia's clothes? Get rid of them. I will be ordering her wardrobe from now on. Naomi and Aurora walked in and Rory's little nose was red. I asked, are you drunk? She shook her head no and said yes. Draco laughed and said, come here, baby. And she crawled into his lap. He said, the world got too big for you today, huh? She nodded. He is such a large man. She literally looks like a kid in his lap. He said, she isn't good with getting angry. It hurts her heart. And she's always sad afterwards. We learned that a while back. After John slapped her, she huddles into small places to make her world smaller so she can cope. Anderson said, what? When did Dad slap her? I sighed and told him about what he tried doing. And he got mad. He growled, seems like my father and I will have a talk as well. Aurora, I never apologized to you for all the pain I caused you. I really am sorry. She shrugged. Just be better. Sacred Moon needs an alpha who can be present. Be there for them. An alpha they can respect, right now. That isn't you. Woo. Drunk Aurora doesn't hide her words. Amelia came out with her suitcases and asked, what's she doing back here? Hasn't she done enough? Anderson said, Amelia, best learn to curb your tongue. I will no longer tolerate your insolence. It didn't matter. Aurora was softly snoring against her mate's chest. Draco stood and said, time to tuck my queen into bed. Anderson, we will discuss an alliance. Call me next week. He walked out the door, and Naomi chuckled. I love that girl. Wait until Draco sees their suite. She ranted and raved. Through things. 5 times I had to stop her from coming back here and stomping a mud hole in Amelia's ass. Drunk Rory is my spirit animal. I laughed and said, good thing you stopped her. She would have hurt Amelia. Naomi nodded and said, don't I know it? I lost over $100 betting she couldn't kick my ass. She could, she did, and I was head warrior. I whispered, I will let you beat my ass any time, baby. She grinned and kissed me. I said, let's grab Chansey out of the bar. Get this show on the road.
Chapter 21, At All Cost, Aurora's Point of View. Here we are, back at the Capitol building. I sit with Connie and Albert, both of them, this time. Draco brought 20 warriors with us as well. He said he wasn't taking any chances. Johnston walked in, without Michelson. I think he'll make a grand entrance if he shows up at all. Once again, I gave an opening statement, and then Johnston stood to begin his introductory speech. Gentlemen, we are here today on rumors, speculation, and conjecture. The witnesses. Testimonials are simply fabrications made by disgruntled pack members, trying to bring down an alpha who has done nothing but provide for and care for his people. This trial is a travesty of justice, and as such, I move that all charges against my client be dismissed. The trial went on for several hours. My victims testified. Johnston cross-examined them. I entered photographs and the sworn depositions into evidence. In closing arguments, Johnston brought pressure to bear that I had failed to prove my case by failing to provide actual eyewitness accounts of what was done to the victims, that while they had sustained severe injuries, there was still no one who could corroborate that Michelson had indeed been the one to either order the punishment or carry it out himself. When the council delivered their decision, it was Thompson who stood to tell us. In light of the lack of actual eyewitness testimony to Alpha Michelson being the actual perpetrator of these crimes, the council's decision is to not indict at this time. Charges are dismissed without prejudice at this time, pending further investigation. The bastard smirked. He literally smirked at me. Knowing I will file an appeal, and knowing full well the testimony of a victim far outweighs the testimony of an eyewitness. They lived it. They don't need the testimony of someone who watched it happen. Draco stepped forward and said, I will be heard. Johnston, you will be taken into custody as soon as you leave this courtroom. As you never renounced your pack bond, you are still a member of Draconium. You are accused of treason against the pack and against the monarchy. Thompson, I know you had this rigged from the beginning. Your computers and files are being seized as we speak. If I find you are complicit, if I find you have accepted bribes or monetary gain, your position on the council will be rescinded. If it is found that you betrayed the Draconium Kingdom, you will be tried by our laws. Michelson is guilty of crimes against humanity. You know it, and more importantly, you know I know it. Therefore, when Michelson is located, and I will find him, make no mistake, he will be tried in the Dragon Kingdom of the realm. Gentlemen, you fucked up today. As you are well aware, I pray none of the rest of you are complicit. We walked out to a bevy of reporters, all firing questions at Draco, accusing him of abusing his privilege of rank, trying to add comment. The warriors surrounded us and pushed through the throng. Once we were on the plane, I smiled. You were awesome, in a kick-ass, take names kind of way. Right now, though, we have to get ahead of this media frenzy. There's nothing like a juicy scandal to have humans circling the water like a school of sharks. He grinned. I love the way you talk, all prim and proper English, with profanity on the side. My lady freak, it's fantastic. Tell you what, we'll air a statement to the masses as soon as we land. I'll have Adrian set it up. I may be able to piss Michelson off enough to have him come to me. Deplaning, we saw Adrian had a podium set up with the media waiting for Draco. As soon as they saw us, Cameras were flashing and questions were fired in as rapid a staccato as a machine gun. He never said a word, just walked directly to the podium, stopping in front of the microphone. He spoke precisely, "Allow me to speak. I will take questions afterwards." He waited patiently for the cacophony to die down. He reached for my hand, and I stepped directly to his side. "I am sure you are all wondering why I removed authority from the Council of Species. It's quite simple in reality. I had warned them at a previous hearing. The charges against Alpha Michelson were dismissed, out of hand. The council sided with opposing counsel, citing a lack of eyewitnesses. My counsel provided a multitude of eyewitness accounts in the form of the victims themselves. Now I ask you, who better to recount the events in question than the victims? Are they not the ones to tell the details of what happened? How can they not be considered an eyewitness to their own torture and abuse? Therefore, I did not abuse my position of power, my rank, by deciding to try this case in my own kingdom, by my personal counsel and advisors. These are charges against a dragon alpha, against both the human counterpart and the dragon shifter. The charges will be amended to crimes against dragon shifters, making them perfectly legal in both human and species courts. Any questions? There was a series of questions and answers fired back and forth, to which Draco responded with graceful aplomb. He smiled the entire time, exhibiting patience and poise. We walked away to a very satisfied media. We arrived home right at dinner time, and the entire pack greeted their alpha with applause and cheers. My heart swelled with pride to see the love and appreciation they felt for him, the confidence they all had in him to always fight the good fight, to protect and defend them at all costs. Chapter 22. So Be It. Somewhere high atop Denali, Ernest Michelson was pacing around the fire inside the cave. He turned to Jerry, his beta. "Has there been any word from Johnston?" Jerry sighed. "None, Ernie. Nothing yesterday or this morning, and no word 5 minutes ago when you asked. I expect Alvin and Dirk back any time. I sent them out last night to track him." "We'll know something soon," Michelson roared. "It's Draco. I know it is. The time is coming to end him, like my father before me, ending his father. He's becoming a nuisance." A shadow passed the cave opening, alerting them to the arrival of the two men previously discussed. Alvin immediately approached. "Alpha, Johnston has been arrested for treason against the crowned pack and the king. It was determined he was the source of information regarding the previous summons to appear for you." Michelson growled in frustration. "That foolish old man. I told him not to abandon the pack. We needed the information he was supplying. Do we still have anyone on the inside we can rely on for intel?" Jerry replied, "The Omega, Amber. Her mother is still here. We might be able to pressure her into cooperating by leveraging that connection." Michelson turned to Dirk. "Take the mother into custody. Make sure Amber knows we're serious. Send her a clear message. I need updates on what's happening. Johnston is a lost cause. He's going to be executed. There's no question. Draco doesn't show mercy." Jerry nodded. "We'll need a solid plan. You should be specific about what intel you want from Amber. Last I heard, she was just working in the kitchens, unless she's moved up." Michelson said, "I don't care if they're using her for breeding purposes. All I want is intel. I need to know his defenses, his border patrol schedules, the size of his militia. I want details on the weapons he's using and how many dragons he has in his arsenal. The number of wolves doesn't concern me. They're no match for a dragon. I know Draco, and I know he'll defend against an aerial assault no matter the odds, as king. He's more than capable of bringing us down from the sky." Jerry replied, "Our only hope will be the element of surprise. What if we took his queen? That might force him to the table. Michelson roared. Are you serious? He's waited a long time for his mate. Taking her would ignite a firestorm we couldn't possibly contain. It wouldn't weaken him. It would fill him with unshakable resolve. Get in contact with our 7 allied wares. See who's willing to stand with us. Alvin said, I have someone ready to make contact with Amber as soon as the photos are prepared. Maybe we have the mother write her a letter, begging her to help. A little added pressure. Michelson nodded. Good idea. That might be just what we need to make sure the girl cooperates. She won't do it willingly, I'm certain of that. I think I'll be the one to persuade her personally. What's the mother's name? Jerry replied, Gloria Alpha. She's not a strong dragon, was used for breeding in the past. Amber is one of the 5 who escaped. She's also expected to testify against you. She holds a deep grudge and a strong desire for revenge. Michelson shrugged. I'm not concerned about that. When the time comes and we strike, she'll pay for betraying me. Her testimony won't matter then. Gloria was brought to the cave landing, and Michelson commanded her to shift, calling her dragon forth. She was small, with dull brownish-red scales, a sign of an omega. Michelson brought forth the whip, each of the 9 strands dipped in silver, with treble hooks tied to the ends. He lashed her wings 10 times. She passed out from the pain and was awakened with a bucket of water once he was satisfied with the pictures. She was ordered back to human form and chained at a table. He instructed her to write a letter, begging for her life. Every time she refused, she was punched or cut until she finally conceded and wrote a letter. He told her exactly what to say and how to say it. She did as he said, but what he didn't know was that she and her daughter had played a game Amber's entire life. They had made up an entire code of carefully worded phrases and terms that only they knew and understood. Michelson read the blood-smeared letter, satisfied that she wrote enough to convince her daughter to aid in betraying Draco, at the cost of her mother's life, should she fail. He ordered Gloria locked away until such a time as he had the assurance of Amber's help. The letter, once decoded, said nothing of the sort. Gloria didn't ask her daughter to sacrifice her honor to save her mother's life. It was quite the opposite. Gloria smiled as they dragged her away, safe in the knowledge her daughter would do the right thing. And if she died because of it, it would be the goddess's will. So be it.
Chapter 23. Want to chase fireflies? Draco's point of view. I ordered the trial of Johnston to be held immediately. It was strictly for appearances, to make an example of him. By law, I could have simply listed his crimes in tribunal and executed him. But since the shifters went public, human eyes are always watching. I am watching my beautiful mate sparring with Culver. I am always amazed by her fighting style. She is lethal, deadly even. But she's so graceful it appears she's dancing. I glanced to my left, noticing one of our housemaids approaching. She looked sullen and afraid. I dislike that. Then I realized she is one of our new members, a victim of Michelson's heinous attack. She moved closer to me, keeping her distance, and asked softly, Alpha, would it be possible to meet with you and Luna today? It is imperative I speak with you. I checked my watch, seeing it was nearly lunchtime. I told her, come to my office today at 3. I have an appointment at 1, and I'm not sure how long it will run. She nodded and turned to walk away. I asked, Amber, whatever it is, we will figure it out. I appreciate you coming to me. Again, she nodded and left. Aurora bounced over to me and asked what that was about, and I shrugged. She grinned and said, I'm gonna grab a shower. Are you too busy? It took a second, circled around my head a few times before registering. Busy? For shower time with my mate? Not a chance. I would ghost 100 meals or meetings for that opportunity, and took off chasing her, watching her cute ass as she ran away, giggling. The 4 of us are in my office, discussing the execution of Johnston this evening, when a knock sounded. Adrian opened the door to Amber, and I offered her a seat. Aurora took her hand and sat down beside her, offering comfort. My perfect Luna, always aware of the needs of our people. She spoke quietly, soothingly to Amber, allowing her time to relax. Then Amber spoke. I have to report something that happened to me this morning. Cook had sent me and another housemaid to town to pick up a delivery of meat from the butcher's. His truck had broken down, and Cook was worried the buffalo meat wouldn't keep. The housemaid I was with had an errand at the post office to send the documents for Luna for Sacred Moon, and I waited by the truck. She paused, and Aurora poured her some water. I noticed her hands were shaking, and she held a packet of some sort in her lap. Taking a deep breath, she said, I was approached by a man, a dragon shifter. He handed me this packet, telling me I had better do as I'm told and that he will be in touch. In this packet are photos of my mother. She has been tortured, brutalized. She looks barely alive. She began to cry while Aurora hugged her tightly, whispering softly. She coughed slightly and continued. There is also a letter in my mother's handwriting instructing me to procure patrol schedules, itemized directions in relation to our defenses, as well as the extent of our military. I am to list our weaponry, arsenal, and methodology in warfare. Ingenious, actually. I am impressed. I handed the letter back, and she began to read the code. Dear daughter, regardless of what you read here, decipher the true meaning. I am being held hostage by Alpha Michelson. He hopes to blackmail you into betraying our king. Under no circumstances do you entertain that notion. Go immediately to King Draco. Tell him Michelson is planning a coup. We have 300 active warrior dragons. Michelson is contacting his 7 allies for more troops. As of this moment, our pack is holed up in a cave on Denali of the Alaskan Range. I have been injured, but I refuse to allow this man to do what his father did. If I die, then it is the will of our goddess, and know that I will be at peace in the arms of my mate once more. I love you, Amber. We always fight the good fight. I am blown away. This brave woman risked her life to warn us. I looked at Amber and told her, here is what we are going to do. You will relay information to this dragon, but it will be false information. Adrian, print out the old border patrol schedules from 3 years ago. We have increased our patrols by 200 since then. Give her a copy of our munitions equipment from 5 years back, when we had geared up for the demon campaigns. The militia rosters we had when the Dark Elves attacked. That should be a show of good faith and enough to keep her mother alive while we prepare for war. Aurora thanked Amber for her dedication and loyalty, telling her we will do everything possible to save her mother. After she left, Aurora grabbed her tablet. Typing in a few words, I watched and asked, anything I can help with? She muttered, I'll let you know. Adrian left to get the paperwork together for Amber, while I finished the paperwork I had started earlier in the day. Culver went back to the training field. Everyone had a task. An hour later, Aurora looked up from the tablet. All right, I ordered dried mistletoe and crushed blue oleander. I need one more ingredient. I was so confused. What are you doing? She grinned, devilishly. Making bombs you have to figure out how to launch. It's capable of putting a dragon to sleep, which means our people will need to ingest the antidote before the battle. I'm missing one ingredient, however. No one seems to stock it. I shivered. How do you know this? She grinned again. O ye of little faith, I read a lot, but about that last ingredient. I'm missing Photonus SP. Want to chase fireflies?
Chapter 24. It's a boy. Aurora's point of view. I have enlisted the help of Culver and Adrian to chase fireflies with us. I made all 3 wear gloves, though. The toxicity of these little insects could knock Donna and Culver's dragon, Pete. Yes, his dragon is Pete the dragon. I laugh every time I say it. Out for several hours. Adrian and I are immune. Wolves don't care. Culver says, "It's chilly. How long do we have to stay out here?" I groaned. "Damn it, Culver. You asked that 10 minutes ago. I need at least 200 of these friendly little guys. Your flavor of the week can wait a couple hours for your particular brand of entertainment." Adrian laughed and asked, "What's her name, Culver?" He shrugged, thinking. Bethany. No, that's not it. Brittany. Tiffany. That's it. Tiffany. Draco laughed. "How the fuck did you get a B name from Tiffany?" Hanging his head, he said sheepishly, "The B girl was on Saturday." I shook my head. "Goddess, your libido is off the rails. Dragons are horny devils. It took several hours last night, but I feel we have enough." This morning, Caleb called with an update on Amelia. It seems she has tried to ditch her guards, but Naomi caught her. He said it seems like she isn't even trying to atone for the shit she pulled at the academy. Anderson has locked her in her room, and now the threat of being rejected and banished is a very real thing. He told her she is on her third strike. Draco said, "I am actually beginning to think that's what she wants. One more thing she will find a way to blame you for." I laughed. I couldn't care less. If she's blaming me, she's leaving somebody else alone. I only wish I understood her. It's a shame. Adrian came in to join us. "Draco, the mortar tubes you ordered arrived this afternoon. I'd like to test them out, but I don't want to use live rounds." I said, "Potatoes," and Culver said, "Cats." Draco looked at both of us like we'd lost our minds. I laughed. "Culver Danvers, you are not launching cats out of a mortar tube." He said, "What? No. I thought we were playing word association. You said potatoes." The first thing that popped into my head was cats. Duh. I asked him, "What is living in your brain? I say potatoes and your mind jumps to cats? The heck is wrong with you?" Adrian said, "The two of you are weird as heck." I laughed again. Culver's lunacy notwithstanding, I was talking about launching potatoes. No big boom. Harmless. Unlike cats, dude. Draco hadn't stopped laughing. He pulled me into his lap and said, "Never a dull moment. I love you. Let's go launch some potatoes." At dinner, Culver was still groaning. Adrian told him, "Suck it up, Buttercup. How was I supposed to know it would hurt that bad?" Culver whined, "What would even make you think launching a potato at me? That shit hurt. Couldn't breathe for 10 minutes, bro." Draco laughed and told him, "After dinner you can launch one at him if that will shut you up." Culver's face was filled with a little too much glee, while it was Adrian's turn to whine. "Dude, why would you tell him that?" Draco only laughed again, saying, "Suck it up, Buttercup." Lying in bed beside Draco, I whispered, "I think I may be pregnant. I'm not sure. Maybe I should take a test in the morning." He rolled over and looked at me. "Baby, we might be pregnant? Oh, goddess, I could be a dad? A real dad? How soon can we find out? Have you been feeling all right? Are you nauseous? I can get you some crackers. Or ginger ale. Chicken noodle soup. I will get you some soup." I laughed and said, "My sweet love, I said maybe. My breasts are tender, and my tummy has a bulge. I may just be getting fat." He grinned. "You aren't even close to fat. Stop that." He laid his ear against my stomach, and then his face lit up in a huge smile. He whispered, "I hear it. A fast little heartbeat. It's there. We're parents, baby. A little you and me. We test first thing in the morning. We will go straight to the clinic. I am so happy. You have completed my life. And now you are adding to it." Draco was up with the dawn, nudging me awake. "Come, shower with me. I want to be at the clinic when Doc arrives." I giggle and ask, "What? No coffee? How will I function? I need coffee before anything else." Pulling me to my feet, I realize, okay, we're doing this now. While I dressed, Draco disappeared, returning just as I tied my shoes. Coffee in hand, he said, "Hurry, drink it on the way," making me giggle again. This man of mine is something else. Doc looked up from his desk. "Alpha, Luna, Is everything all right? It's awfully early. Are you sick? I shook my head, asking, would it be possible to give me a pregnancy test, doctor? I told him I might be, and he's quite eager to find out. She smiled. Of course. Here, pee in this cup and bring it back to me. I will take some blood, and we will figure this out. I went to do as she asked, and when I returned, she and Draco were in an examination room. She drew some blood and asked us to wait. Draco said, your scent is changing, more noticeable this morning than yesterday. I laughed and said, or wishful thinking, and your brain has run wild? He grins. Oh, hush you. Doc walked back in a half hour later. Well, congratulations are in order. You are indeed pregnant. Let's get an ultrasound done so we can see how far along and what's going on. Draco looked at me glassy-eyed and whispered, thank you, my moon. I love you so much. I held him tightly, and the doctor cleared her throat. Lay back, Luna, and let's have our first look at this little bean. When the wand rolled over my stomach, she stopped and took a picture every so often. After several pictures, she said, there, you see that? There's his heart, spine, arms, and here. Legs. The head is measuring around 14 weeks. You actually only have 2.5 months or so before you are parents. Have you not had any symptoms before now, Luna? I shook my head no. She then said, do you want to know the gender? Draco nodded right away. She grinned and said, congratulations, it's a boy.
Chapter 25. The Most Beautiful Sound. Draco's Point of View. Aurora fashioned her bombs with all the ingredients she needed, mixed with a little gunpowder. The antidotes had been given to all our dragons every day for the past 2 weeks. Amber had been feeding false information to Michelson's men for the past 2 months. We know the attack will happen any time within the next 2 days, and my beautiful mate agreed to remain in our underground bunkers with the other non-combatants. Much to my relief. Evander is due in 10 days, but Doc said due to his size, he could come at any time. Apparently, I make big babies. Who knew? Aurora walked sort of into the office and crawled into my lap. I asked, not feeling it today, baby? She shook her head and said, my back aches, and Evander's doing jumping jacks on my bladder. I laughed and rubbed her back for her. She isn't hugely pregnant, and Doc said she's carrying well. She has maintained a strict regimen of exercise and eating healthy foods. We were blessed inasmuch as she'd never had morning sickness. Adrian walked through the door and told us, dragons in the air, hundreds blocking out the sun, and headed this way. I asked, how long? To which he responded, 4 hours, at most, maybe less. Aurora stood to her feet, sending out a pack-wide mind link for all non-combatants to get to the bunkers immediately. She kissed me, long and hard. I have this. You get in position. And Draco, come back to us. I grinned and told her, I guarantee it. Adrian and I headed to the battlefield. The 10 mortar tubes were lined up, and I ordered them prepared. We would fire them at intervals. 5 would fire, then the alternating 5 would follow behind in 10 seconds. Aurora had over 200 bombs, and we tested the sleeping drug on Culver, so we knew the effects lasted roughly 6 hours. He groused about being our guinea pig for 3 days, but Pete got a good nap out of it. The thunder of the dragons. Wings could be heard 100 miles out, and I couldn't help but wonder what this fool was even thinking. Where's the stealth? Had the maniac thought it through? At first sight of their initial line of defense, I ordered my men to hold. I alerted my archers to ready their bows, arrowheads dipped in Aurora's poison. They stood at the ready, and I watched Michelson's dragons approach. His strategy confused me. The first line of defense were his fire breathers. Ignorant asshole. He is sacrificing his strongest by sending them in first. I alerted my men. As soon as they fall, engage, hand to hand until the last man. Wolves, ready your beasts. Adrian asked, today's a good day to die? I growled, "A great day to die. Archers, choose your targets and fire." I turned to my armored division. Ready the mortars, heading set at 8.2 by 4.7, and fire, fire, fire. We had hundreds of naked men falling from the sky as their dragons went to sleep. It gave a whole new meaning to that song the ladies like. It was definitely raining men. Within minutes, we were in the thick of it. Adrian hadn't shifted, nor had I. He was standing, facing 5 men trying to make contact. His left hand held his sword. In his right, he was swinging a mace. He looked like a medieval warrior and acted accordingly. I waded through every combatant I came across, snapping necks or ripping throats out. I was on the hunt. I wanted Michelson. He would die by my hand this day. I saw about 20 men break our ranks and run towards the pack house. I yelled, "Culver, pull your unit. Insurgents headed to the house. Protect the queen." He ran like the hounds of hell were at his heels, all 10 of his elite guard keeping pace. I finally spotted Michelson hiding behind Jerry while he let his beta take every hit aimed at himself. Coward. I stopped where I knew he could hear me. "Michelson, tell your men to lay down their weapons. They don't have to die today. You, only you, deserve death for the pain and anguish you've caused your own people." He laughed and ordered them to attack. I linked my pack to incapacitate if they could, spare as many as possible. I stormed toward Michelson, knocking out anyone who tried to stop me. Within minutes, I reached him. Punching Jerry in the temple, he dropped like a stone. I grabbed Michelson by the throat and snapped his neck, then severed his head. Holding it high enough to be seen across the battlefield, I roared, "Stand down! Your leader is dead. It is over." Every one of his men dropped to their knees. They were easy to spot, naked as the day they were born. A few hundred lay dead or dying, and I linked to my people, "Sound off." We hadn't lost one man. I ordered the cleanup, and Adrian started piling bodies to burn. Culver timidly came through the mind link. "Alpha, we need you at the bunker, immediately." And I took off running, fighting my panic. Reaching the front of the bunker, I saw the door had been destroyed. Several of my pack were milling around, bloodied, holding broken limbs. I looked around and spotted my mate. She stood with a broadsword in hand, surrounded by a dozen dead men. They had attacked the bunker doors and rushed the people inside. She fought them back out the door, protecting our people. She looked like an avenging angel, her hair wild around her face, clothes bloodied, a smear across her cheek. I walked toward her and softly said, "Baby?" She looked up at me and smiled so sweetly, my breath caught in my chest and told me my water broke. I rushed to her and lifted her, but she said she needed a shower, and that Doc needed to treat the injured. Her contractions were still spaced far enough apart that she believed we had time. So that's what I did. I took her to our room and showered with her. Even when a pain would hit and she squeezed whatever part of my anatomy she could grab, I made sure to turn my body to one side or another, just in case she decided to relieve me of the weapon responsible for her pain. Once I had slipped a long nightgown over her head, I carried her to the infirmary. Doc had 5 more people to see and bandage, so she pointed us to a room to get situated. Evander Caleb Arconium came kicking and screaming into the world 3 hours later, and it truly was the most beautiful sound I had ever heard. Chapter 26, Epilogue. 4 years later, Draco's point of view. We had finally retrieved all the dragons Michelson had deserted on Denali and incorporated them into packs. 200 hobbled dragons had finally healed and were able to take flight once more. Adrian found his mate in one calmly beautiful dragon shifter named Beatrix, and Aurora immediately loved her. She was the perfect beta, and we couldn't have asked for a better match for the seriously quiet Adrian. They are expecting their first child and are over the moon. Caleb and Naomi have 2 children, 1 of each, and word came in a month ago that Amelia is expecting Anderson's heir. She hasn't grown up, she hasn't changed. But we've heard that Anderson has taken a mistress. Caleb believes that once the baby is here, Anderson will set Amelia aside and mate the mistress. That is one seriously messed up situation. Aurora and I have a little girl, Adriana, who arrived almost exactly a year after Evander. She's expecting again, but this time, she's absolutely miserable. She's had morning sickness consistently since day one, and I have a feeling it's because we're having twins this time. Speaking of Aurora, here she comes, waddling in like my little duck, and plops down on my lap with a sigh. I asked, "What is it, baby? How can I help?" She scowled. "These babies are the last ones, Draco. If I have to tie a knot in your dick, by the goddess, no more." I nodded, doing my best not to cringe, and gave her my go-to response, "Of course, my love." She growled, "And you can go tell your little three-nager that a cupcake is not a legit breakfast food just because it's made with milk and eggs, because she says so. While you're at it, tell your Fornado that if I step on one more Lego, all 5,000 of those demonic little pieces are going straight in the trash." And I, like the brave man I pretend to be, replied, "Of course, my love."